Hey guys, welcome to the WWE podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. And tonight, a huge show to preview the Royal Rumble pay-per-view that takes place tomorrow night. And I do it with co-host Michael Gross. We go in depth with every match and every possibility, covering the show from A to Z and Z to A. It is a great show. You guys are going to love this one, especially if you love the longer podcast. This one's for you. So strap in and let's get everything going right after this.
Welcome to the WWE podcast, your number one source for the latest in WWE news and straightforward analysis. Are you ready to get this thing going?
Give me a hell yeah! I said give me a hell yeah!
Then let's get this show started right now.
All right, everybody, welcome to the WWE podcast. It is time to talk Royal Rumble. Tomorrow night, or as you're listening to this, probably tonight, the Royal Rumble will be in our laps and ready for WrestleMania season as we get to inevitably watch the winners of the Royal Rumble point to the WrestleMania sign, which we all can't wait for as fireworks go off. So I know we're all eagerly anticipating that very corporately required gesture by the Royal Rumble winners. But Michael Gross and I just really dissect everything, almost to just grinding it down to a fine powder, as they say, as we completely dismantle the Royal Rumble and break down all the possibilities, possible returns. Michael has a very extensive, exhaustive list, in a good way, of dark horses, of WWE's possible picks, of his top picks. I also give you guys the Vegas odds of what Vegas is looking at for who could win the Royal Rumble, both on the men's and women's side. So we really just completely dissect this thing, and I'm sure there's angles we're missing, but we did the best that we possibly could to look at the Royal Rumble in a very objective way. So I hope that you guys take the time and listen to this podcast in its entirety as I know it's long form audio, so maybe you can't listen to it in one shot, but hopefully you can before the Royal Rumble debuts and begins at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday night. So once again, guys, thank you for joining us. We have a full coverage for the Royal Rumble this weekend, of course, beginning with this podcast you're hearing right now, but I'll be tweeting throughout the show tomorrow night at wrestling_audio, or you can check us on Instagram at wrestling or WWE_podcast there, and we'll be live tweeting. But tomorrow night, 24 hours from now, I'll be recording a show with none other than YouTube's The Botch Guy, as we cover the Royal Rumble in its entirety and go through all the good and the bad, inevitably, of the Royal Rumble event. So, by the way, if you haven't gone to the Botch Guy's YouTube channel and subscribed, you got to do it right now. He has some great content on there. He just previewed the Royal Rumble with another co-YouTuber, very successful one is that. So, you know, I think they did a great job of breaking down their preview and predictions for the Royal Rumble, but he'll be on this show tomorrow evening or early Monday morning, as you'll probably be able to listen to it, to cover the Royal Rumble. So that's super exciting. Glad to have him back here on the WWE podcast. So, by the way, guys, if you'd like to reach out to the show, give your predictions, your reactions to the Royal Rumble, then super easy to do that. You can email us at realwwepodcast@gmail.com, or you can call the show and leave us a voicemail. And that number is 518-952-0247. And we'll get you on the show for the mailbag portion that happens on Wednesday. So if you'd like to, we can certainly get you on the show on Wednesday with your thoughts and opinions. Try to keep it PG, please. This is a PG show, so just keep that in mind. And you have 3 minutes, and then the mailbox will just cut you off. I'm not sitting there listening to it and go, muhaha, and hit the button. It does it automatically. So, one last thing. If you guys like to support the show, you don't like the ads, you're tired of the ads, or you just want an easier way to listen, head on over to Patreon at patreon.com/the WWE podcast. And you can get yourself an ad-free version of this show and all the shows we do, ad-free 100% for $1 a month in the first tier. I think it's a great value, certainly pennies a day to listen to this show without any ads at all. And imagine the ease of your ears without any of that. So And while we're on the subject of Patreon, I'd like to give a shout out to our newest patron, Deanna, who just became a patron of the show. Hope you enjoy it. I think for $1, getting everything ad-free is pretty darn good. So, Deanna, welcome to the Patreon family. And if you'd like to join her and the others, you can do so at patreon.com. Look for the WWE podcast, and you'll see us there, and you can join the party. So, one last thing. If you go to our website and you also want to support the show and you love Amazon, go to WWEpodcast.com first. There's a banner right in the middle of the homepage, and if you click on that, it redirects you to Amazon. You do your normal shopping, it just kicks back whatever you purchase a little bit to our show. Nothing extra, it's just telling Amazon that we sent you there, and it gives a little bit back to the show. That's all it is. Pretty simple. So head on over there if you'd like to support the show that way, or just give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. That also is very, very helpful. So, alrighty guys, let's just stop with all the chatter. We're going to take one last break to give some love to the sponsors of the show, and then we're going to get right to the content with Michael Gross and myself for over 2 hours. So enjoy the show, and I'll be talking to you guys tomorrow night. Mixed martial arts is more than just the fastest growing sport. It's a way of life. Each week, longtime friends and former wrestling and judo teammates, John and Eric, discuss the latest in the world of MMA and combat sports. If you're a fan of the UFC, Bellator, One Championship, Professional Fighters League, or even boxing, then Inside the Clinch MMA podcast is the perfect show for you. Aside from the insightful MMA content each week, the guests who vary in areas of expertise make this show so unique and a must listen to. John and Eric are diehard MMA fans, and their primary goal is to share their love for the sport with you. Listen to Inside the Clinch MMA podcast today, wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, or subscribe to their channel on YouTube. You can also follow them on Instagram at Inside the Clinch MMA for top quality MMA content and reminders on newly released episodes. Inside the Clinch MMA podcast, your home for everything MMA. So here's something that I bet you don't think about a lot. That's your grip strength. You know, we use our grip strength for so many different things during the day that I don't think we realize how important it is, and how important it is to not just realize we're using it, but to strengthen it. Having good grip strength can mean the difference between falling and not falling, being able to hold onto that item, or dropping it. And you know what else really good grip strength does? It creates a great first impression. Have you ever met someone for the first time and they give you that dead fish hand? That is not a great way to make a good first impression. So why don't you take care of your grip strength? Check out Grip Sanity. You may be asking, what is Grip Sanity? Well, it's an all-in-one device. It's easy to change handles. It'll have your forearms burning in minutes. It'll improve your grip strength, of course, but it's very convenient because you can take it with you anywhere. There's no clunky, equipment that you have to bring with you. So if you're wondering what this is and you want to learn out more information, go to gsanity.com and check out Grip Sanity. Look at the testimonials. It's one of those things, guys, that I don't think people really even notice or realize maybe they have an issue until they have a problem. So get ahead of it. Go to Grip Sanity. Check out gsanity.com. That's their website that you can look at the product. You can check out. There's tons of different colors, and you can find the one that suits you. So again, go out and check Grip Sanity. The website is gsanity.com. All right, guys, welcome to the WWE podcast. And tonight, it is a huge show because we are reviewing the very first pay-per-view that is on the road to WrestleMania. That is right. We are talking about the Royal Rumble. We're previewing that tonight with none other than the gardener, Michael Gross, who is back. You guys love him. We love him here at the WWE podcast. We're here to talk the Royal Rumble and a ton of stuff to go over, of course. Difficult matchups, particularly in my estimation, just talking off air, the men's Royal Rumble. But Mike, well, how you doing, man? Welcome back. It's great to have you here for the Royal Rumble preview and prediction show.
Well, thank you very much. I want to say I'm doing fantastic. It sounds like you're doing pretty well, which that makes me happy to hear because I know you got a little bit of the beautiful white snow up there. And right now, while I'm on work relocation in Memphis for a little bit, we were lucky enough to kind of miss that, but we went from 68 degrees down to about 41 in a day, and we had some nice I don't want to say tornadic weather, but very torrential rainstorm. So it's been a slippery slope, but I'm doing well. And as you were saying at the very beginning, that we're on the road to WrestleMania with the very first kickoff pay-per-view that sets the pace and controls at least one of the main events. I want to ask you a real quick question before I ask you my second question. The first question, obviously, is how are you doing? And the second question is, what was the first Royal Rumble you ever saw?
Ooh, love it. Love it. Okay, well, first of all, easy answer. I'm doing good, and I know everyone just says that, but I really am busy, just like you. And I am really, really looking forward to getting out of January and February and March so that April can kind of bring some kind of 40 to 50 degree weather, which is when it starts up here, and we're going to get another half foot of snow. I mean, it's insane up here. I don't know why I live in New York, but I will say that the first Royal Rumble, my first memories of the Royal Rumble, the very first one I ever saw, and this kind of sets the bar a little too high, is the 1997 Royal Rumble with Stone Cold being the number one target, and he ends up obviously winning. Or then was that 98, 97, 98 was Stone Cold. He was like the target where everyone was after him, and he was the one striking first. I think that was 97, but I could be wrong. No, 98. 98 was that, because that led to the 1998 win for Stone Cold at Boston's against Shawn Michaels. So, what about you? I'm sure it's a little bit earlier than that for you.
The very first on the USA Network. I watched it on a miniature little television. The screen couldn't have been more than about 12 inches. I think it was, I want to say 88, 89, whatever year was the first, where, Hacksaw Jim Duggan won. Thank God they didn't do the WrestleMania stipulation back then. But I remember watching. It was a special. It was supposed to be, the special event on TV. And, did I mention that the television was also a black and white? Because, it was classy. Classier different times back then. And it was just a little television for my bedroom. And I think I was about 13 or 14, almost 14, something like that. And so, I turned it on and just lucky enough to get good reception on it. And I watched the whole thing. And I didn't know quite what to make of it, and back then it was just the pride of winning the Royal Rumble. I think that was initially the experiment that Pat Patterson had come up with, because they wanted to somewhat spike the ratings with USA. I've heard different stories over the years that it was partly a ratings ploy, just so everybody would see this magnificent match, because USA was about to renegotiate the contract with WWE back when it was known as Prime Time, and so they had this special on USA. So that I've heard that. I heard it was just the idea was further down the road, obviously, to make it a pay-per-view. But even then, the first couple, the second one, John Studd won, they did not have that stipulation. I don't think it was because the third Rumble, I believe, was Ric Flair, and it was for the championship. So I think the fifth might have been when they started the winner, and I think it was supposed to be a one-time thing. You could correct me on this because you would know a little bit better, but I think it was the fifth Royal Rumble, which was the first one that had the stipulation of going to WrestleMania, which I think it was a one-time deal, and then it just kind of stuck after that. Kind of like when it was either Hardcore or Crash Holly said they were going to defend the belt 24/7, then everybody did it. It's just one of those things like, well, it worked once. We'll just, we don't have to write now. It kind of writes itself. So, but yeah, that was my first Rumble.
Wow, yeah, being exactly 10 years older than I am, that makes sense, and I started out at the same time you did in terms of how old we were when we were watching wrestling, and it's funny you mentioned the Ric Flair one. Well, I didn't actually watch it when I first started watching wrestling, obviously, since I have watched that one with Ric Flair. That actually took place right here in Albany, New York, right down, 10 minutes from where I'm at. So yeah, I remember watching it on the network a couple of years ago, but yeah, this is certainly one of the most exciting events. You'll hear a lot of people say this is their favorite event of the year, with good reason. This is the most exciting event, one of the most unpredictable matches, one that gets people talking, I think, more than any any match that WWE does in their entire pay-per-view schedule in the calendar year is the Royal Rumble, because of so much that could happen. So many. Who's number 1? Who's number 2? Who's number 30? Who's possibly going to come back? Who could make a return? There's just so much. You talk about genius matches. Yes, Pat Patterson will be known forever of being the brains behind this operation, and it is one of the most exciting. You can't help but watch when that countdown starts of 10, 9. You hear the crowd. Of course, this year it'll be simulated, but I'm sure they'll be putting in crowd noise that would make sense. So I mean, I'm looking forward to this match. I am very, very, I will say again, just frustrated with how I'm going to make my picks. I'm still up in the air up until like literally the 11th hour here when we get to that part of our show. But let me ask you this though, before we get into the Rumble, I will ask you generally, how do you feel about the build to Rumble? And really, like SmackDown this past week, we saw Braun Strowman return, we saw Bianca Belair get a massive win. There's the Intercontinental title mess. I mean, there's a lot going on. The Fiend and Orton. I mean, I'm not asking to go through everything, but how are you feeling generally about the product right now as we get to the Royal Rumble tomorrow night?
I think it's been a very convoluted situation, because I see, and I'm sure you see it also, and many of our listeners do, that they're forcing a lot of information on us. It's not, oh, we're going to tease that the Fiend is coming back. It's like, let's talk about the Fiend every couple of minutes. Let's show Alexa Bliss over the top. Let's show Randy Orton with his goofy mask on, and talk about him. But yet nobody's really advertised for much. Wonder what's going to happen. Braun Strowman comes back after we put together an impromptu 10-man just god-awful match that just did not need to happen, but that's neither here nor there. But the point is, like, let's show all these people. Let's not make them forget they are going to be in the Royal Rumble. I feel like it's information overload, sensory overload, that don't forget about this person, don't forget about that person. Last time we saw Randy Orton, he was burned really badly by the Fiend. We wonder how he's doing, wink, wink. So I just feel like even if we don't see these people, and especially when they're crossing over shows from Raw to SmackDown, okay, we get it. You're supposed to be somebody that we really look for in the Rumble. We get name dropping. We've got name dropping everywhere, and I noticed, they're trying to show the strength of Sheamus and talk about his past with Drew McIntyre. So, will it be Sheamus? But he can't get along with Keith Lee, and got to talk about that thing they did off, that mysterious thing that they did off camera that, causes them to have fights. So can't forget about Keith Lee. There's so much information. And I just feel like, obviously when you throw your spaghetti against the wall, one noodle's going to stick. It's like they threw the whole pot. It's like, don't forget about this, don't forget about that. So I just feel like it's a lot of overload as far as who we think might win or how they're dialing in. It's out of focus. How about you?
Yeah. That's, and I think that's the idea. I don't think their plan was to make it look like one or two people could be the odds-on favorites. I think their idea was to kind of confuse fans in a way that makes them go, well, yeah, that's true. What about this person? So I think what your reaction to that was the intended reaction when they put this together was, look, Sheamus has a possibility of winning, and yeah, there's history between Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. What if, Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, they could main event WrestleMania if Drew McIntyre retains. We'll get to that. So I think that was the idea, to confuse people. And we may be looking at it as that was just too much, but I appreciate what they were doing in trying to make all of these distractions everywhere, rather than just, it's kind of a foregone conclusion, Daniel Bryan's going to win or whoever, and make cases for people where you have that thought like, oh, maybe, yeah, and they plant that seed. So I understand what they're doing. Agreed, the 10-person match that was like a singles match that turned into a 6-man tag that turned into a 10-man, that was just, it was a way to kill time. It was a way to kill like 35 minutes of airtime that they probably didn't know what else to do with. And I thought for sure, I said, oh my God, I would have bet my right hand that at the end of that match, we would have had people throwing each other over the top rope, and then the announcer's like, if this is Sunday, they would have been eliminated. I mean, because they always do that crap. Or the ladder match, the TLC, and they have people climbing the ladders and grabbing the fake championship at the top of the ladder before the pay-per-view as if that's supposed to be symbolic. They do all that kind of stuff. So I thought for sure that was going to happen, and it didn't. But I think your reaction to it is probably what they were intending.
It's definitely out of focus. It's and I'm with you 100% on the, well, look at the size of Strowman. Who can eliminate him? Come Sunday on pay-per-view, I'm afraid that if that man's in the ring, nobody will move that mountain. Like, I was waiting for that. Like, I could just hear Bobby Heenan turning in his grave. I really could. I was just waiting for I wish Bobby Heenan was on commentary to throw something really bad in there to expose somebody if that came out. But unfortunately, it didn't come out. Well, fortunately, actually, because it's just so overdone. Hey, here's the beauty. At least we didn't get a contract signing on Friday. Okay.
Well, they don't.
But yeah.
Well, they're dishing out so many just championship matches every single show. We don't need contract signings anymore. I mean, the amount of championship matches they've given away over the last month is criminal.
Yes.
But okay, we're kind of on the same page here as far as where things are at. The wonky mask from Orton. We all know the Fiend is coming back. It's just a matter of how and when. I think we probably will have an idea of that as we go on here.
Yes.
We have Alexa Bliss out there as a possible winner with some of the other top contenders. We have Charlotte. We have people that aren't even announced. What about NXT call-ups? And there's a lot to get to. So with all that said, though, I mean, I'm ready to, unless there's other ancillary things in terms of the product that you want to discuss. If not, we can jump into the Royal Rumble preview here.
Absolutely. Well, what I was going to ask you is, do you feel that well, okay, let me rephrase. What do you think is going to be the kickoff show? Do you think it's just going to be a review of the build, or do you think we're going to get like a title situation, a U.S. Intercontinental bump kind of thing? Or do you feel like it's just going to maybe be a 205 live defense, or maybe an NXT random call-up kind of showcasing?
Well, I will say this. As I'm looking at the card right now, I don't see – we have the Women's SmackDown Championship. We have Tag Team Championship, the Women's Tag Belts. So I don't see any actual Tag Team Championships on the line. So could Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode be in line for maybe the Street Profits, get an automatic rematch for whatever reason? Yeah. I mean, I could see that being the kickoff. Certainly, I think the Raw Tag Team Championship could also be defended. So that's my thought. Yeah, I think the Tag Team Championships will come out of nowhere. They'll announce it on Twitter, or they'll announce it on the show, and then that's the match we'll get.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that. Of course, they want to do a crowd hype, but there's no real live crowd. So I figure it's just at home. Hey guys, this is the last pay-per-view you're going to see for a while before we merge with Peacock and we anger so many people who are following and can't figure out how to, dual stream it. But that's a different conversation for a little bit later in the show.
I was wondering about your thoughts on that. So yeah.
Just shed some light on it. Okay, first of all, I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know. I downloaded the free version of the Peacock app, and I don't even really play with it. I just figure that is going to be your conduit into getting the WWE network. So kind of like when you have Amazon Prime, you could also subscribe to Stars for $9.99 a month, and I don't remember when I did it, but apparently I'm paying $9.99 a month extra. So I think it's going to be one of those things that might really incur the wrath of so many network subscribers. If you actually have to pay for Peacock and get a paid version, there's going to be a lot of problems. But I feel in the next couple weeks they're going to find a way around that, because the massive amount of people who will drop the network if they have to get a new pay service to piggyback it off of are going to be really upset. Not to mention, if our Royal Rumble winner or our main events go in a sour direction, they won't know because there's no crowd, because they're only booking to themselves at this point. But if it's a weak build, you better believe selling off that network. What, in March 17th, I think
18th,
is
March
the first
18th.
18th.
Yeah.
Okay, so selling that off right before WrestleMania is the dumbest thing. Why don't you shoot yourself in both feet and then go for a swim?
It's curious. I think their thinking is that's better timing, because in their minds it's WrestleMania. And what better time to promote the network on a different platform than now, right? The most eyeballs on the product. So that's their thinking. I understand your position, but I'm also thinking about from their business perspective of, wait a minute, we're 3 weeks away from WrestleMania. There's no better time than right now. I'm like, but is there a better time than now? There's a case to be made for both sides, certainly.
Yes.
Yeah, I hear you.
Absolutely.
And that is a good question too, about, do people have to actually subscribe to Peacock itself with a paid subscription and then also pay for the extra WWE Network, or can they just get a premium version of Peacock and the network's already included and it's not like a two-step process? That's a good question.
I know that we're paying, is it up to $13.99 now, or I'm not quite sure. It's automatically deducted from my bank account, but I know the money's gone because it never bounces. I've always so. I'm not going to add another streaming service. I just find that rather inane, and I also find the fact that, like I said, I've got the free version of Peacock, so it just might be okay. Through Peacock, you can watch WWE Network. Are you a subscriber? Sign in. If that's it, it's not going to be a big deal, and it just works out so Peacock can show us reruns or whatever else. Okay, that's fine if it works that way. But if it's an extra expenditure, you've got all these fans who got that network specifically absolutely just for wrestling, so they don't want to watch all these other reruns, and they're going to be upset even if it's $5 extra a month. It's like, I'm paying $5 for so much content I'm not going to use. That's going to be a really big sour taste in a lot of mouths.
Yeah, big time. I would think that's a terrible business model on both ends if that's their idea, because they know Peacock would be foolish to do, making wrestling fans pay twice, thinking that they'll pay twice, considering that they're paying $9.99 now. I think it's smart if there's not two paywalls and there's just one paywall of, say, whatever the stream, like $4.99 a month. Then you've essentially cut the expense of the people who are purchasing the network now for $9.99 in half, if those fans are willing to deal with the ads. Myself, I cannot stand ads. I will pay any premium service if I get a streaming service, which I'm trying to cut them down because it's adding up to how much a cable bill would be at this point. But if I get a streaming service like Hulu, I will pay the extra however much to not deal with ads. It's so worth it to me. So I will not be shedding any expense. To me, it'll just be a lateral move with no added expense if there's not two paywalls. I would think that's really foolish on both parts. But I think there will be a subset of fans that are willing to pay the $4.99 to cut their bill in half, save the $5 a month, and deal with the ads. I'm sure those people are out there.
Oh, absolutely. I just the thing that about this whole purchase or sales and purchase situation is, I just don't see, for if you've got 1.2 million or 1.5 million subscribers that are paying, at base it was $9.99, and whatever it's gone up to at this point, say it's $11.99. Okay, that's over $11 million in revenue that you're giving up per month. So that's not just a couple of pennies. So for you to give up that kind of money, which adds up to well over $100 million a year, this deal with Peacock had to be astronomical. It had to be somewhere in the Fox $1 billion range. But at what point do you say, okay, we've sold it? I would think that you want at least 5 years of what you would pull. So it's economically feasible. Is this one of these things where Vince McMahon says, I might not be around in 5 years, so I'm going to sell it for what I'd make in 5 years? I'm thinking that this is making the old man say it's time to retire.
I think here's my thought on it, and this is, as far as the financials go, let me answer your question, because I did look at the specifics of how much this deal is worth, and it is about $1 billion. That's $200 million a year for 5 years. And so they got their $1 billion. So WWE could say, we got our money, and just kind of just walk away. But you got to also remember, is WWE maybe missing out on adding another tier to their network, of which fans are willing to pay for, maybe up to $14.99? Kind of do what Netflix does, and they slowly increase the bill every 6 to 12 months of $2, $1, $3, $1. And the next thing you know, you're paying, where you started at $7.99, now you're paying $15.99. and they've suddenly doubled the bill, but they've done it in a way that is slowly. It's like boiling the frog, that analogy that people use, where you put a frog in water and you don't put him in boiling water, he'll jump out. You slowly turn up the heat, and the next thing you know, before he can get out, the water's boiling and he's dead. So, I mean, it's a little bit of a morbid analogy, but it's kind of that same deal where you just kind of slowly turn up the heat on people, and they just, what's another $2 a month? What's another $1 a month? What's another $3? So I think WWE may be missing out on that extra revenue if they started to tier their network for fans that would maybe willing to pay more for the network over the 5 years that they got this $1 billion for. And maybe, they would have made more than $200 million a year that this contract is for. It's all, they got their money. I mean, $1 billion is $1 billion, and now they can just bring that content, and Peacock's the servicer. They own it now. So, I honestly don't think it's the worst thing in the world. If you have fans that deal with $4.99 a month, they're looking at it as a savings. WWE has their money. They don't really care how many people download the Peacock at this point, because they just got their money from the next 5 years. And Peacock is like, hey, yeah, we paid WWE $1 billion, but they must have done a hell of a lot of research into this into the network to say we could do better than that, because otherwise they would get in a net loss in this deal. They're thinking they can make more than what they paid to WWE. So they must have some kind of strategy to promote the absolute crazy hell out of this to get more than $200 million per year back over the next 5 years. So there's, otherwise it's foolish on their part. So.
No, absolutely. Now that you spitball those numbers for me, and I'll just wrap it up real quick because I know we have the Rumble to cover, and we could do economics all day between the two of us. But if you're making a little over $100 million a year just on subscribers alone, they've got 10 years worth of money at least. So and they don't have to guarantee new content, brand new. They produce it. If Peacock wants to use it, they do. If they don't, they don't. And maybe Peacock's going to produce their own things for it, but I'm sure Vince will still have his finger on the pulse until he doesn't have a pulse. Yep. There's your morbidity from me. But so, honestly, if you're getting 10 years worth it and you don't have to worry about anything, as long as you tune up the engine, they can drive the car.
No, that's just it. And I'm with you. And I think ultimately, I think this will be good for everyone involved in the long run. Yes, it's a change, and this is my final point, and I promise we're getting to the Rumble too. But I think this will be, I'm more positive on it than you are, just because I see it from a business perspective. And I don't know if it's because I went to school for business or if that has anything to do with it or not, but I just see it as a win-win-win. WWE, great, we have our $1 billion, let's walk away, let's move on. We have the fans who, again, assumingly, and I didn't look at that detail, could cut their bill in half and deal with ads, or it's a lateral move and there's no change in everyone's budget. So the fans are like, okay, fine, great, we have to download a new app, big deal. People are downloading apps all the time. It's a minor inconvenience in this first world problem. Then you have Peacock, who is really taking the biggest risk out of all three players here, because they paid $1 billion, and now they're like, okay, guys, we got to get that money back and more over the next 5 years. And they have a subscriber base of 22 million people. Now, are those 22 million people all free? Obviously not. There's a subset that I'm sure are free that don't pay for the premium service, but they have a much bigger base than WWE did, potential base than WWE did with those 1.3, 1.4. That's where it would kind of hover, and they would spike around Mania and drop to about 1 million, 1.1, and just very cyclical. And there hasn't been any growth in the network over the last 4 years, 5 years. And since the network debuted in 2014, it really has kind of leveled. So I think the biggest risk is on Peacock's part, but they have a massive subscriber base that they could potentially use to tap into this, into the WWE network and get people that aren't wrestling fans to go in there. I mean, there really is the biggest risk on that part. But okay, let's get into the Royal Rumble match, Royal Rumble pay-per-view, I should say. And we covered the fantasy kickoff show that we don't know is going to exist or not, as far as if there's a match, which I'm thinking is going to be just a tag team match. But let's get into the actual card. And there are 6 matches as of right now. Again, if matches get added, as they always do randomly, we apologize, but there's 6 matches as we see right now. So I'm going to start it from the bottom and obviously work our way all the way to the Men's Royal Rumble match. And I'm going to start with Sasha Banks versus Carmella for the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship. Mr. Gardner, go ahead and take it away on this one. I'm gonna let you do it first.
Okay. Carmella is the one female I've seen actually get some kind of build that hasn't completely blown up in her face. Because usually, when you're going against one of the four horsewomen, unless you're another member of the four horsewomen, you kind of get pushed to the back. Your Dana Brooks, your Natalia's. I mean, now don't get me wrong, Natalia had her time earlier, in the decades, so so and so forth. But or unless you're some really hot prospect coming up from NXT, it's very hard for a woman, even though their work rate has gone up, to actually believe that they're going to go over or have any kind of credible character going against one of the alleged four horsewomen. Now, to me, I think Sasha Banks is not only stunningly beautiful, and I am single, Sasha. Just things don't work out with the husband. If okay, Carmella has some depth to the character, the sommelier, the whole thing. She doesn't look like a complete fool. I don't see her winning this, but I see this continuing afterwards. I think that this is gonna go at least one more step, and I think that the weirdest thing we could get out of this is not a double turn, but what's his name? Reggie?
Reginald, yeah.
Yeah, Reginald. I see Reginald maybe leaving Carmella due to some kind of, I don't want to say like spousal abuse, but kind of he starts to get taken advantage of and kind of kicked around, kind of like the whole, James Ellsworth. And please, I just thought about that. It's Royal Rumble. Don't let him show up in the women's. We'll get there later. Oh, no. But
don't say it.
I cursed you. I'm sorry. I'm going to put that in my notes. Okay, but so I think this match is going to be a lot better than people anticipate, because Carmella, when she first came in, and she's a stunningly beautiful girl, but they basically saw a Vince Russo, and every time she wrestles and as the years go by, she progresses and she gets better. Now, she's definitely not one of the four horsemen women, excuse me. She's definitely not Shayna Baszler, Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley. But would I put her above the talents of, say, Lacey Evans or anybody in the Riot Squad, or even though Ruby's coming into her own? Yes, I would. I think that with each passing year, if she's put in a top-tier storyline, Carmella goes out of her way to increase her ability in the ring. She may not necessarily create new maneuvers to use, but she definitely gets better at performing the ones that she has in her arsenal. And she doesn't do it as a moveset. When you watch Carmella wrestle, it's not always going to be, oh, she does this, oh, she does that, oh, she does this. The best I can put it is you always knew the DDT was coming after Jake Roberts' short arm clothesline, which I always love that combo, but the point is you always knew it came next. And in a Rey Mysterio match, you're going to get like almost the same 5 or 6 spots in a row every match. That's what makes it hard for me to watch him for the last 15 years, because you're getting the same match. Carmella has her moves, but it's not always set. So I think this match is going to be a lot better than we think. I'm actually going to predict on a 1 to 10 that this is going to be somewhere about a 6.5. But I see Sasha retaining. I do see it maybe spreading out to the next pay-per-view, maybe even a push towards WrestleMania. But I think Reginald is going to be key in this storyline. But then again, a certain no-chin man might just pop up out of the sewer and get back at us. So how about you, boss?
Oh gosh. Yeah. Well, first of all, I hope that doesn't happen. Second of all, Sasha Banks and Carmella, it's been a program that has been really uneven for me. And when I say uneven, it's not due to the inabilities of either woman. I think both women are absolutely capable. I think that Carmella, upon her debut, has done good to very good, and then has kind of, and I think I might have mentioned this last week, the week before, she feels like she's just flatlined, and I don't mean that as her character's dead. I mean it as if she's just kind of plateaued. Maybe that's a better word. She's just kind of plateaued, and she's got Reginald, but why are we focusing on Reginald when it should be about Carmella? I need more from Carmella, and I like her in-ring ability. She has certainly improved. I'm glad she's no longer R-Truth's comedy sidekick. I think that she is completely undervalued and was undervalued in her run as the SmackDown Women's Champion a number of years ago. I loved it, and I think that doesn't get enough attention or is brought up enough. but I really want to see her add something to her character. Maybe it's more mic time. Maybe I need something beyond the superficial, arrogant blonde. There needs to be a little more. I know it's there. I'm not downing her. I just need to see her and hear her add more to her character other than, again, just the arrogant, I drink champagne, I'm better than you. Okay, I need more. Like, we've seen it, I get it, I'm on board with it, but it's just as if she's kind of been just using that over and over and over. And okay, I have Reginald, who's the sommelier, or as Corey Graves called him, the Cirque du Sommelier this week, which was very clever. And I need more from him other than just seeing him get shamed and beat up by Sasha Banks every week, which is completely unbelievable, by the way. Like, completely unbelievable that this guy can do, crazy flips and all this stuff, but he can't take care of a 140-pound woman. I mean, it's absurd. But we don't deal with man-on-woman violence in WWE, even though the other way around is okay. Which, again, their match that happened last week, where she made him tap out, is completely just, it's frustrating to me when I see that. Not in a way that just makes me go, I hate wrestling. It's just like, this guy can do all these acrobatic things. He can flip, fly, and do all these somersaults, and he can't deal with a 140-pound woman. I mean, it's just absurd to me, but I understand in WWE's, we don't do men on women violence, but the other way is okay. I mean, it's just, I could rant about that, but this is what we're talking about. We're talking about Carmella and Sasha Banks, and ultimately, here's my thought. I think Sasha Banks does retain. I'm with you on this, and I think it's because Sasha Banks going into WrestleMania is a bigger name as champion than Carmella is as a name going into WrestleMania as champion. And yes, we have a pay-per-view in between, of course, and yes, WrestleMania isn't for, another 2 months, roughly? 2 months and change?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we could have a title change between now and then, and God knows WWE doesn't wait for pay-per-views to do title matches. So I think that Sasha Banks does retain. I am looking at a good quality match. I think that Carmella has improved in the ring, just as you said. I think this could be a good to very good match if if everything's working right. And I end up thinking Sasha Banks wins. Yes, Reginald's going to get involved, probably in a Carmella favorable way, but ultimately, I think Sasha Banks retains, and I think that they need to make this her championship win against Bayley that they built and built and built and built, which I think was a big flop. But they need to make her championship win stick, and they need to I think continue it till WrestleMania with Sasha Banks. Again, both beautiful women, no question about that. But in ring ability, to me, Sasha Banks. We all know what she can do. This is time. Really, you could argue this is Carmella's biggest match she's ever had in her career, because it's at the Rumble. It's against Sasha Banks, and it's for the championship. So to me, I'm looking towards Carmella and putting the pressure on her to have a really good match with Sasha Banks rather than the other way around. But I think Sasha Banks comes out on top. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break, show a little love to our sponsors, and then we're going to be right back with more audio from Michael and myself talking Royal Rumble. Mixed martial arts is more than just the fastest growing sport. It's a way of life. Each week, longtime friends and former wrestling and judo teammates, John and Eric, discuss the latest in the world of MMA and combat sports. If you're a fan of the UFC, Bellator, One Championship, Professional Fighters League, or even boxing, then Inside the Clinch MMA podcast is the perfect show for you. Aside from the insightful MMA content each week, the guests who vary in areas of expertise make this show so unique and a must listen to. John and Eric are diehard MMA fans, and their primary goal is to share their love for the sport with you. Listen to Inside the Clinch MMA podcast today, wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, or subscribe to their channel on YouTube. You can also follow them on Instagram at Inside the Clinch MMA for top quality MMA content and reminders on newly released episodes. Inside the Clinch MMA podcast, your home for everything MMA. So here's something that I bet you don't think about a lot. That's your grip strength. We use our grip strength for so many different things during the day that I don't think we realize how important it is, and how important it is to not just realize we're using it, but to strengthen it. Having good grip strength can mean the difference between falling and not falling, being able to hold onto that item, or dropping it. And you know what else really good grip strength does? It creates a great first impression. Have you ever met someone for the first time and they give you that dead fish hand? That is not a great way to make a good first impression. So why don't you take care of your grip strength? Check out Grip Sanity. You may be asking, what is Grip Sanity? Well, It's an all-in-one device. It's easy to change handles. It'll have your forearms burning in minutes. It'll improve your grip strength, of course, but it's very convenient because you can take it with you anywhere. There's no clunky, equipment that you have to bring with you. So if you're wondering what this is and you want to learn out more information, go to gsanity.com and check out Grip Sanity. Look at the testimonials. It's one of those things, guys, that I don't think people really even notice or realize maybe they have an issue until they have a problem. So get ahead of it. Go to Grip Sanity. Check out gsanity.com. That's their website that you can look at the product. You can check out. There's tons of different colors, and you can find the one that suits you. So again, go out and check Grip Sanity. The website is gsanity.com.
The only thing I can say in my conclusion to I'm actually really looking forward to this because as you put it, this is probably Carmella's most marketable match. Obviously, Sasha's the one whose name you want to put on WrestleMania, so it's a no-brainer as far as the retention, unless something really, really crazy and sideways happens, or unless they have some incredibly great plot to put together a marquee women's match with Carmella at the helm, unless it's a hot potato situation, which we don't need that going into WrestleMania. That's the saddest thing you can do, is have a title that has been demeaned or pushed down its value level, to fertilizer for a mushroom. So I really think that I really feel that there's going to be some pleasantry to this match. I really think it's going to be a solid 6.5 out of 10, because I think that just depending on how hokey it is with Reginald getting in, that's going to be the biggest detractor, is how much he's going to play in this match, and if it's going to cheapen a victory for Sasha or not. So
yeah,
that's the big thing to me right there. So.
It is, and I think they want to have Sasha save face, even though she's been kind of heelish, really. I mean, to me, Sasha Banks is a heel in a babyface clothing. I think in a cloak, I should say. I'm not a huge proponent of the babyface Sasha Banks. I think she is much better as a heel, just like Charlotte, and we'll get to her in right now. So let's get to the tag team match here for the Women's Tag Team Championship. Asuka and Charlotte Flair versus Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. Once again, I'll toss this one to you. I'm fairly confident on this one, but maybe you have a different thought. Go ahead.
This one has been one of the hardest matches for me to call, to be actually completely honest with you, because Charlotte Flair she's their dominant female. She's their Roman Reigns. The biggest difference is she's always naturally had that connection with the audience. She can do no wrong, and she could lose a million matches and it wouldn't matter, because when they say that some people just have that golden parachute and you can erase a loss, she can go out and have one win over somebody major after 10 losses in a row and you would forget almost instantly about her losses. That's how dipped in gold she is. Asuka, on the other hand, should have had that next level. Even her reigns as women's champ, it's just never hit on all cylinders ever since she had that first major loss to, of all people, Charlotte. So you've got you could have a turn in this one, like they couldn't get along, but they've been way too buddy-buddy and it's worked out way too well. I see, because you're going to have a build for WrestleMania, obviously, that I pushed this around. I kind of went 50-50, wishy-washy. I see Jackson Baszler doing this based on a couple things. One, if there's anybody I believe could eviscerate any female and just tear through them and leave nothing but a set of lungs laying in the mat, it's going to be Shayna Baszler. Because it's not only the fact that she has the legit cred, but it's the fact that she has a different look. She looks like, I wouldn't fight her. I don't know about you. I wouldn't fight her. And she's one of those few, like Carmella, who can be put on that level with the Four Horsewomen. She's completely a great submission wrestler. She doesn't just rely on all UFC fighting style stuff like Ronda Rousey. It doesn't look like a forced match like Ronda Rousey. And I'm not trying to pick on Ronda, but let's be honest. Her 1 year at the top was very forgettable, in my opinion. Whereas Jax, Baszler, first of all, I'll get back to the two of them together, but Baszler, going through NXT all the way up, developing, in case you didn't know who she was in UFC. It's been beautiful. She looks vicious. She acts vicious. She plays the role. She lives her gimmick. And Nia Jax, of course, is one of the Samoans. You know he loves the Samoan family. And you've got two women who don't look your typical role. They're not beauty queens. And I'm not saying they're ugly by any stretch, because Lord knows they might whip me. But seriously, they're not ugly women. And that's a real statement. They're not. But they're not silicone. They're not bleach blonde. They're not trying angles with romance. I look at those two as like almost like a female version of the Steiners. Like, you're going to get hurt wrestling these women. So if we have to believe that Charlotte and Asuka are going to drop the belts, especially if you're going to have them potentially go in two different directions in the Rumble, I kind of see those two maybe facing off. Which I also think that champions shouldn't be involved in Rumbles, but that's a different discussion for a little bit later on. I really think that Jax and Baszler are going to get this. I think it's going to be a faux pas between Flair and Asuka, one of those things where it's a bad blind tag. If it's not a bad blind tag, I'm seeing one teammate accidentally hits the other, which causes minor dissension, but they'll put aside their grievances just to meet later on in the evening and try to take it out on each other. But I'm seeing the gold switch place, and I hope, honestly, if it does switch place, that we go on a monster tear with Jax and Baszler, and they become, like I said, the female Steiners, but a darker version.
This one, yeah, we'll see. Now I have my pick, and you're making me rethink it. Okay, so I'll just say right off the bat, I have Asuka and Charlotte retaining. Now, it's for the reason that you mentioned about, well, let me say this. I agree with your logic about Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler being the female version of the Steiners, going on a tear, being dominant, and they kind of did that for their first run, kind of. They were messing around with Lana, whatever that, for whatever that's worth. If it'll be a miracle or at least a blessing that Nia Jax doesn't injure anyone in this match. I mean, lately she's been not on a good run, and she always is very defensive on Twitter, talking about how we're all trolls and all this. She is not safe in the ring. It's clear at this point. It's not even like an opinion. I mean, look at her record of accidental injuries. I'm not saying she's doing it on purpose. She just has been on the bad end of injuring or on the interactions between stars of accidentally injuring them. It's just a fact. So she can go on Twitter and talk about how we're all trolls and how we don't know what we're talking about. But the fact of the matter is that she is not a safe worker at times. It's just a fact. But nonetheless, I think Asuka and Charlotte retain, and the reason is because I think while what you're saying is correct about the dissension and the accidental tag, or somebody gets selfish and tries to get the pin while the other one stands on the apron or whatever, we've seen it all those kinds of miscommunications between teams. We're going to eventually disintegrate. We know what would happen with Bayley and Sasha over the summer. We all knew it was coming. I agree with you, but I think they're going to wait one more pay-per-view. I think they're going to wait one more time to have this build from, say, Fastlane, which I think is the next pay-per-view, to WrestleMania. That's when I think the breakdown is going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen at the Rumble. From Rumble to Mania, again, you're looking at a 9-week build. It's going to take, that's a lot of time for them to do that. And I think that they're going to wait one more time to do it. I think the way you're saying is correct. I just, the timing of it, I think, is one more month away. So I think Asuka and Charlotte retain. I think eventually, they could drop it to Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. I would love to see those two run through the roster, but the question then remains, does WWE see Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax more successful as single stars than they do as a tag team? And I mean, if they're going to just do nothing with Shayna Baszler and, bury her like they did last year at WrestleMania, then I would say keep her in the tag team if they have no plans for her, because she has a home there. If they're going to actually do something with Shayna Baszler and make her an actual killer and make her come back and break people's arms like she did in the spring this year, then hell yeah, bring back that Shayna Baszler. I'm not a huge fan of Nia Jax. I don't care that they're not beautiful women by some standards. To me, that's actually an asset that they don't look that way, because it's not a distraction. Because the fact is, like, most of the people that watch wrestling are men, and most of the people that watch wrestling are men in their middle-aged men, younger men, even older men. I mean, it's really 18 to 40. is the general target demo, and I think sometimes it's a distraction of how good looking some of these women are. Whether you're not watching wrestling for that, but it's distracting. And I think with these two, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but they aren't beautifully distracting where it's just like, you're watching them, but you're just kind of like the biological part of your brain or the neurons in your brain are like, man, like this woman's just so attractive, it's distracting. No, to me it's good that they're not, because it helps me focus on their actual wrestling storyline, how they are in the ring, their character, rather than just always worrying about, like you said, kind of the plastic part of the whole thing. So long story short, yeah. Asuka and Charlotte retain. I like your logic. I just think the timing is 1 month removed from yours.
Well, either way, we got to see with what happens on Sunday or tomorrow. So with what happens tomorrow, then you and I can start pitting it against each other on what the build is to WrestleMania, where they think they're going, because obviously we're going to see some kind of interaction in the Rumble. It has to happen. Now, if we go your route and you think that they're just going to add a few more side dishes before we delve into the main course, at least it gives us something a bit more substantial in the build up to Mania. And I was doing some research here while also. So, do we have Fastlane and Elimination Chamber next, or is it just going to be Elimination Chamber? Because isn't that usually how they pick the other candidate for whatever world titles that are not or haven't been decided for an opponent?
Yes.
Now, but I believe it used to be both Fastlane and Elimination Chamber in both. I think it used to go Fastlane.
It's Elimination Chamber first. Yep. No, you're right. Yep. I'm looking.
I'm just trying to visualize it, because I believe you were right in saying Fastlane, because I think it used to go. I think WrestleMania floated between March and April for a while.
Yep.
And I think, now mind you, it's I am 45. I think that it would go Fastlane after Rumble, because it was the road to WrestleMania, Fastlane. It made sense, and then Elimination, and then WrestleMania. I think so, but whatever. I don't know if they're cutting one out or abridging it this year, but so then we also have to think, after tomorrow's event, I will be texting you. We're going to see what we think is going to be the competitors for Elimination Chamber. And I think a lot of that is going to come down to your final few in the Ladies Battle Royal, the Ladies Royal Rumble, the Royal Rumble event that is. This is not a pay-per-view anymore. So I see your plan, and I like that you want more depth to it. And I like the fact that no matter what, we both agree that this isn't over. This isn't just going to be a one and done situation today. So both female matches so far are going to be storyline and scripting towards the next 60 days worth of television and 60 days worth of pay-per-view and or events.
It's right. I mean, and I did look. It did confirm the Elimination Chamber is on February 21st, and then Fastlane is March 21st. So a month later, and then obviously WrestleMania is April 10th and 11th from Tampa. So we have 3 weeks now on from the Rumble till Elimination Chamber, and then 4 weeks between Chamber and Fastlane. So, yep, there are 2 pay-per-views between Rumble and WrestleMania. So there are a couple steps that they have to still go before they get to WrestleMania, which again I think kind of makes me more confident that it could be another pay-per-view before this actually happens, because I think they know that fans know it's going to happen. And when they think that, when they know that fans know, I think they like to delay it, where they make fans re-guess, like, well, are they really going to do it? Are they going to, like, when is this going to happen? I can't believe they didn't do it. So even if they know that fans are confident it's going to happen, they'll mess with the timing. So in this case, I think that it's probably going to be Elimination Chamber, even Fastlane. I mean, I could see them going that long. I wouldn't, to build to an Asuka Charlotte WrestleMania main event, but okay. Let's get to the next match here. And now we're starting to get into some pretty crazy ones. Drew McIntyre versus Goldberg. Good Lord. I'll take this one first. I'll be as brief as I can.
Please.
Okay, now, about 3 weeks ago, I said that I'm starting to turn on my thoughts about Goldberg and McIntyre, where I was like, oh, McIntyre's got to retain. At first I said Goldberg's no way he can win. McIntyre has been doing so good as champion outside of the 3 weeks that we all pretend he didn't lose to Orton at Hell in a Cell. He has been the champion since WrestleMania outside those 3 weeks. He has been very good as champion. He has been a truly what Vince wanted Roman to be, Drew McIntyre has been. And he's a man's man. He is confident. I can't see through his work. I can't see through his character. He's a total package. He is just excellent as champion and totally believable. And I said, no way they're going to cut that short before WrestleMania. How cool would that be to say WrestleMania to WrestleMania he was champion again outside of the 3 weeks? So I said, no way. And then Goldberg shows up and look at, obviously we're here now. And I'm thinking about 3 weeks ago, I said, oh my God, they kept drilling home and they did it this past week again. This is, the one championship Goldberg has not had. This is the one championship that has eluded Goldberg. This is the one championship that has eluded Goldberg. And they kept drilling that in my head. And when they do that, when they drill that in my head, it sets the foundation and lays the foundation for when that moment happens. You're like, oh my God, that's right. He's never won it. And so I'm of the belief, here's my pick. I think Goldberg's going to capture the WWE Championship. I don't want it to happen. I think most WWE fans do not want it to happen. I think it is a bad move by WWE. If Drew retains, I'll be ecstatic and I'll be the first one to commend WWE. But I am fairly confident Goldberg is going to win this based on the foundation that's been laid. And I think that Vince thinks, I should be very specific, I think Vince thinks Goldberg is a bigger name, a bigger draw for it's WrestleMania. It's going to be Goldberg with the WWE Championship. So this is a product of Vince here. I'm scared because I think Goldberg is going to capture the championship. I think it's a shame that fans are not in the arena to boo the holy hell out of Goldberg and this storyline. That's really the biggest crime of this whole thing, is that Vince doesn't get to hear the fans live. He gets to play God with the reactions as they have been over the last several months. They get to play God and just play however they want and have the reactions exactly the way they want. And they're going to have a hell of a wake-up call whenever they get back in front of real fans, which apparently is WrestleMania, but we'll learn more about that as the weeks go on. Goldberg right now, I think, is going to capture the belt. I think fans are going to lose their minds on Twitter. But it's a matter of, how does Goldberg win now? Is it by a squash? Is it by several kickouts of finishers? I would assume it's several kickouts of finishes, because that's all this match is going to be. It's going to be finish, kick out, finish, kick out, maybe a punch or a clothesline thrown in, maybe from some variety. But this is a hard-hitting, I'd say under 4 minutes of kick out, and then, on the fourth, jackhammer is what takes out Drew McIntyre. And the fans are going to lose their freaking minds while WWE gets to pretend that they have fans cheering for this. So that's my pick. Sadly, very sadly, I picked Goldberg winning the WWE Championship. Do you have a different thought?
First of all, I was sold on Drew for a long time as far as this is a no-brainer retention, until you and I spoke last time and you got my gears going. And this thing, it reeks of creeping death that could gag a maggot or peel paint off a wall. I am telling you that putting the belt on Goldberg, I hate to say it, I'm going to agree with you. And I don't know why that he thinks that Goldberg is more of a marquee name, especially the fact that he's playing a modified tweener to heel role. And we don't know, I see nothing down the road with legs for him to main event WrestleMania. Now, one of two things could happen. Afterwards, in the men's main event of Royal Rumble, for the second year in a row, Drew McIntyre might win it, and then it sets up a rematch at WrestleMania, which is pointless and it makes no sense. Or, I'll put it also in some of the notes I'm going to cover with the men's main event, who Goldberg could potentially be facing. But the fact is, you can only go to Jurassic Park so many times before you realize the dinosaurs eat everybody. And Vince loves going to Jurassic Park and dusting off these dinosaurs, and having them eat this young talent is what's killing his product, especially when they can't perform. I don't want to see 15 finishers in a row because it's no longer a finisher. It's the same as punch, kick, body slam. It's a heavyweight match from 1987. I don't want to see that. Okay, and it will kill Drew's momentum. The only way I can really see any good of this is if somehow they finagle it so Drew can win the Elimination Chamber and challenge Roman Reigns. But we'll get to that in a couple minutes because I think they want a rematch of that situation. In the interim, I don't know what to do with Goldberg. You put that belt on him, I have no idea what to do with him. I am 35 years into my wrestling fanhood, and I couldn't tell you what to do to basically put people in seats if it was live. I couldn't tell you anything to pop viewers enough to want to buy a network that you just sold. I have no idea what the marquee or marketable value of a man in his 50s who looks phenomenal but has been known to botch matches left and right and has a skill set so limited it is nothing but one signature match that is less than 3 minutes typically. I have nothing in my plan, my agenda, my foresight. I can't see the horizon. I can't see anything. I could stare into the sun and go blind before I could actually find any reason or plan or anything to do with Goldberg going forward. That's where I am, and yet I see him winning. I'm sorry.
Stare into the sun. I love it. It's true. It's so true. I'm honestly asking, and I asked this last time, if there's anyone in the sound of my voice that wants to see Goldberg as champion, I would love to know why. And I don't mean that in a demeaning way. Everyone loves, their own thing in wrestling. I mean it in a truly, I want to understand why people want, if there's anybody out there. I mean, Bueller, anybody, of Goldberg being WWE champion. I really would love to know the logic behind it, or somebody's thought process when they see Goldberg as champion of, that'd be great. No. I mean, look, he may tip the needle a little bit with ratings. Goldberg is a big name. He was a big name, though, 20 freaking years ago. He's not a big name anymore. Again, I was slightly excited when he came back in 2016, 2017. I was like, oh, cool, he's going to kind of avenge his terrible run in 2004 that we all know ended in one of the worst matches of all time at WrestleMania against Brock Lesnar. Okay, I'm slightly interested. And then every match became 3 minutes. Okay, finish. He finally beats Brock Lesnar. He becomes champion, Universal Champion. Wonderful. But he also, don't forget, the other part of this is Vince has not been scared to take current talent and allow Goldberg to beat them. Albeit The Fiend, the most recent victim of The Fiend. I mean, he's the only one that holds a victory over The Fiend. A clean victory over The Fiend is Goldberg, if we all remember that. And that, to me, still sticks in my mind as angering, nonsensical, that you have a 50-some-year-old man come in for a extremely part-time role and very limited in the ring of beating your current talent and then leaving and disappearing. How does that help anybody? All right, you talk about hot-shotting. That is hot-shotting to the nth degree that benefits nobody because, you may have extra eyeballs in your product. Admittedly, Goldberg is a slight needle mover with the name value. But at this point in his career, no, I don't think he is anymore because he doesn't add any value to the current product because, especially when you're also making him a babyface because he comes in, he wins, and then he leaves, and then the talent that lost are there. The talent that lost are still there week in, week out. And now you have Goldberg just disappearing into the abyss and coming back whenever he wants and thinks that he's deserving of a WWE Championship match. I mean, you talk about a heel move. And talking about disrespect that McIntyre had, how the hell does he know? You talk about, he's the one who's saying, I'm doing this, it's about respect. Well, wait a minute. If it's about respect, aren't you disrespecting the WWE champion by thinking that you're just somehow automatically deserving because you walk out to the ring? I mean, it's just so backwards. I would at least accept this slightly more if Goldberg was billed as a heel, but they'll never do it. I can't wait to hear all the just completely pumped in cheers for Goldberg when he's holding that championship over his head. It's going to make me sick. Twitter's going to lose its mind. I can't wait to see it.
No, I agree. I think there's going to be part of a wrestling revolt. And like I said, you picked they picked one hell of a time to sell the network off to Peacock. And if you're going to go with Goldberg, you're not going to get any new subscriptions. You might get a couple of people who are nostalgic from 20 years ago who flip through the channels, they see him, they're like, oh, wow, Goldberg. Then they see a shell of what he was and a third of what he was years ago. And he was no Dynamite Kid back then. You know, he was no Dean Malenko. But with that being said, the guy concusses himself. He goes into a match with The Undertaker and almost ruins the mystique of wrestling's greatest big man ever. And it's for what?
Yeah.
There is, you could talk about there being a catch or there's some big payoff. I see no payoff to this. I'm going to continue to stare into the sun until I get an answer, because I'd rather be blind than watch that. You're just going to have to describe it to me. And you could lie to me, but I'll have to hear it too, so I've got some thistles for my ears.
That's like a perfect intro. Like something like that cut right there is like the money line, right? I'd rather stare into the sun than watch Goldberg be champion. Like that, somebody should take that. I mean, that's good. It's true. I mean, at least in my perspective, look, if you guys are, somebody out there in the sound of my voice is like, what are you talking about? Goldberg's awesome. I want to talk to you. Seriously. I'm being serious. Like, I want to talk to you because I want to know what's going inside your mind. Maybe I'm missing something. But Goldberg, like you said, has never been a great performer, ever. He's just had charisma. He's been the right guy at the right place at the right time. He's had the look. That's it. I mean,
Yes.
You talk about his moveset. I could go in there and do that tomorrow night. I mean, literally. I have the strength to do it in terms of the jackhammer. It certainly requires strength and, making sure you don't drop the guy in his actual neck, of course. But the spear, I mean, these are extremely basic moves. He's never been a technical guy ever, and I don't expect him to suddenly be one tomorrow night. He's going to be exactly what he should be, because I know WWE doesn't want to risk them or having them risk Goldberg trying something new to just try something new, and then all of a sudden he's injuring and killing someone in the ring. I mean, so he's going to be exactly what you expect. I don't expect any surprises, especially given what happened with The Undertaker, which was an unmitigated disaster. So you and I both agree, begrudgingly, sadly, that Goldberg is going to probably become WWE champion. I wouldn't put it at 100%. I'd put it at probably 80% that Goldberg becomes WWE champion, especially given they've laid the foundation of this is the title that's eluded him. This is the title that's eluded him. So we're all supposed to be like, oh, cool, I hope he gets it. No, I mean, so Goldberg is probably going to become WWE champion. Any closing sad thoughts on this match before we move on? All right, guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break, show a little love to our sponsors, and then we're going to be right back with more audio from Michael and myself talking Royal Rumble. So here's something that I bet you don't think about a lot. That's your grip strength. We use our grip strength for so many different things during the day that I don't think we realize how important it is, and how important it is to not just realize we're using it, but to strengthen it. Having good grip strength can mean the difference between falling and not falling, being able to hold onto that item or dropping it. And you know what else really good grip strength does? It creates a great first impression. Have you ever met someone for the first time and they give you that dead fish hand? That is not a great way to make a good first impression. So why don't you take care of your grip strength? Check out Grip Sanity. You may be asking, what is Grip Sanity? Well, it's an all-in-one device. It's easy to change handles. It'll have your forearms burning in minutes. It'll improve your grip strength, of course, but it's very convenient because you can take it with you anywhere. There's no clunky, equipment that you have to bring with you. So if you're wondering what this is and you want to learn out more information, go to gsanity.com and check out Grip Sanity. Look at the testimonials. It's one of those things, guys, that I don't think people really even notice or realize maybe they have an issue until they have a problem. So get ahead of it. Go to Grip Sanity. Check out gsanity.com. That's their website that you can look at the product. You can check out. There's tons of different colors, and you can find the one that suits you. So again, go out and check Grip Sanity. The website is gsanity.com.
Well, we're going to go do the next match, but let's not forget our wild card situation with, the reason for the ratings, The Miz, because he still has that Money in the Bank. And my next thing I want to point out is I do believe that he has declared himself for the Royal Rumble. So how is it that you automatically have a contract for any time you want, but yet you're entered into a match to win a WrestleMania. It doesn't make sense. That's like a double negative. But so there is the wild card, and we could explore that real quick.
Yeah.
So if he comes out to face the winner, or which we both agree is Goldberg, he and Morrison come out and do their Doofy Twins kind of Scooby Dumb and Scooby Dumber whole thing. I see him obviously getting slaughtered in just like a couple seconds. And I don't know where they're still going with. My fear is that they want to do something bigger with him, but we can discuss that more once we get to the actual Royal Rumble match. The way he's been all over TV, and you and I, we see things very similarly. He's beyond X-Pac heat. He is my bathroom break, my snack break, is he off yet? Because I'm not even, in staring at the suns for Goldberg, I think I'd just rather pour salt in my eyes than look at The Miz. But that's personal. There's some people who like him, and if Matt wants to talk to you, if you like Goldberg, you can have a conversation with me on Twitter, or if Matt will have you on the show, come on, call me. We'll talk about The Miz, and I'll tell you how you were wrong if you like him. But no, really, seriously, that's the wild card, and I'm afraid where that wild card could go, because you don't have the guy lose first lose the match to win it, to win the case to begin with, then win it on a hokey, silly, fake court show, and then lose it on a cash in and then give it back to him. That tells me they've got some kind of big plan, and I'm afraid to wonder what that is. So we've got that wild card on both the Roman match and this match. Now, there's no way they're putting The Miz over Goldberg, and if they do, after the Goldberg went over Drew McIntyre might as well quit, go to AEW, go to Japan, or, at that point, I'd probably just, I don't know, maybe just retire and go fishing for the rest of my life, because your career's over if it's going to look that bad. But we can move on to Roman if you want, unless you want to touch on the wild card.
I'm glad you brought that up. I really am, because I try to just push The Miz out of my brain as much as possible. Miz and Morrison, just like I don't want them to exist. So I'm glad you brought that up. I'm surprised I missed it. But I will say this: there is only one person on the face of this earth that I would rather not see as champion than Goldberg, and that is The Miz. So if Goldberg is champion, and I had two options in my hands of you have to pick one as champion, I would pick Goldberg, and that's sad. That is just sad. But I would. And if he does cash in, which I don't know if he will, because when you look at this, how often do you have heels announce ahead of time that they're going to cash in the Money in the Bank? It almost never happens ever. If you're a babyface, you do it. John Cena did it and lost. There's examples of it, because you want to be an upstanding guy. You don't want to take advantage of somebody when they're down. You want to be, when they're at their best and give you a heads up, which I totally disagree with. But if you're which is why, to me, a heel character is built for a Money in the Bank briefcase, because you want to be opportunistic and hit somebody when they're down and take the belt. So with that said, do I think Miz is going to cash in? I don't. What I think is going to happen is he'll come down after maybe Goldberg or whoever is champion, and he'll pretend that he's going to cash in. There'll be that awkwardly long, unnecessarily long pause between when he tells the referee he was going to cash in, and between when the referee has to tell the ring announcer, and then the ring announcer has to tell the timekeeper, and all of a sudden it just takes 20 minutes for somebody to ring a bell. There's always, this has been going on for how many years now? You think there'd just kind of, the second you hand the championship, or I'm sorry, the briefcase to the referee, the bell should ring. Why is there so much pause? But it's all because, the failed cash-in. It should be instantaneous. But nonetheless, what's going to happen is The Miz will either will cash in and get immediately speared and pinned, or he will try to take advantage, and he's going to get speared and not cash in. So either way, I think he's taking a Claymore or he's taking a spear. He's not going to become champion, and it'll either be a failed cash-in, or he won't cash in because the bell never rang, and he'll still be carrying around that Money in the Bank briefcase that we get to hear about on Miz TV or Dirt Sheet the following Monday night.
Yeah,
so,
please no.
Yeah,
please no.
So that's my thought on the wild card. Okay, let's move on, because I'm going to get ranting on The Miz. Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens. This is like a breath of fresh air to me. In a last man standing match for the Universal Championship. I will once again, unless you want me to take this one first, I'll let you choose. You want me to take this one, or are you comfortable in going first?
I'm always comfortable. So what I'm going to go with is we're actually going to go in a reverse direction. I'm going to start with if the wild card were to happen in this match, I think still the Miz would be unsuccessful, but he might be the vessel through which Kevin Owens loses. I don't see Owens winning this. Once again, I did not want to see this as a three-part challenge. This is not a situation where Owens looks strong in defeat. This is more a situation where Owens is going to look damaged. His character is going to be damaged. The integrity of it is going to be damaged. I do like a last man standing match. It reminds me of the old world class days when those things, it might be on ESPN at 4 o'clock, but that one match might last a half hour, but they told so much more of a story, and they had so much more meaning to when they would brawl out into the crowds, and going through a table meant a lot more when you didn't break one every week. So I look back at some of those old classic matches I used to watch, and I have a soft spot for it. And then today with the circus, the 3-ring circus and the big lights and everything else and the breakaway tables, and you're going to break every piece of furniture, and Owens is the babyface, so to what they think to make him look strong is he'll get the first pin, or he'll get the first, the first knockdown to where, so Roman gets pinned, and then they give him till the 10 count to stand up, and he makes it up at 6. Well, if it all came down to one pin, it would have been Owens. That's their way of thinking that they're making him look strong in defeat. But the fact is, this better be the big blow off for the two of them. If this is going to be truly a last man standing without fans, it's going to be hard to sell it with piped in boos, piped in yays. There's going to be a lot of furniture. There's going to be a lot of goofy things under the ring that don't belong there, like kendo sticks and Lord knows whatever they pull out from under the ring these days. I get why a table might be under there. To some extent, a fire extinguisher, but yeah, it's not like I reach under my couch at home and, oh, there's my kendo stick. What? What hit? So I see a lot of furniture, a lot of weapons, a lot of goofy stuff. If they brawl into the back, it's just kind of strange without the real crowd reaction. It's almost like too quiet. You can hear them, and sometimes you can almost hear like the ooh-sa flat splat kind of thing. It's like you hear too much of them selling when they hit something, whereas in reality they would have the live crowd mic'd, so you'd hear the oh wow, cheers, jeers, whatever else. So that's going to be my hardest time with this. It's too quiet, way too quiet when they get to the backstage for this part. But Roman Reigns is going over. They've got some kind of huge plan for him going forward. Obviously, this is the thing that Vince has always wanted for Roman. I love Roman's character. I love Owens, but Owens is a heel. He is a natural heel. And while he's doing a great job as being besides Daniel Bryan, like the only credible babyface on SmackDown, this is like Sasha. We got a wolf in sheep's clothing. It's not going to work out in the long run, and he's not going to win this. What I could see is, like I said, the wild card Miz cashes in, and that could start an Owens-Miz feud that we don't really want, because that just wastes Owens' talents and overexposes another person we don't really want to see. But personally, I don't know what happens after the blow off. So I'm kind of looking at direction, because you can't do a number 4. There's no way. There's just absolutely no way you can do a number 4 at this point. And especially if you do another gimmick match, that's just going to, that would be a tune out. That wouldn't be tune in TV. That would be turn it off. I'm tired of this. So let's just put a bullet in it. Let's let Roman go over. Just give me a good match. I would prefer it to stay in the ring most of the time. And, I don't really see a whole lot of outside interference unless it's the wild card. So how about you?
Oh, good analysis. I think, okay, my prediction off the bat, Roman Reigns. But I wouldn't bet the house on this. I think there's a very small chance Kevin Owens could become Universal Champion. But I don't think that with all the work and all the stuff that they've done with Roman the last nearly 6 months now, that they've done with Roman Reigns needs to be blown off by Kevin Owens. And I hate to say that, because I love Kevin Owens. I love his character. I love what he stands for. I love that he actually has somewhat of a real promo. I agree. He is, I think, trending better as a heel. I don't think he's as egregiously awkward as Charlotte is as a babyface. But I think that he is Yeah, he's better suited to be a heel. It's going to be hard when he has the stunner as his finish to be hated. I mean, the stunner is one of the most beloved finishes of all time. So, I mean, he could adjust that, obviously. But I think Roman Reigns wins. I think it's probably because not just of Jey Uso, who's inevitably going to be involved, maybe Jimmy Uso, who suddenly sees the light, gets involved, maybe Apollo Crews sees the light, as don't forget that conversation he had with Roman Reigns a couple of weeks ago on SmackDown that we're all just forgetting about. Maybe he gets involved. I think it's going to be one person after the other as Roman Reigns is about to lose, comes out and helps. And how is Kevin Owens going to overcome? Oh, he does. Wait, here comes the next person to help Roman Reigns. I think there could be a litany of people out there, not just Jey Uso, who comes out and helps Roman Reigns in this, because Kevin Owens has suffered 2 big losses. Yes, they weren't clean, but they're still losses. And now he gets a 3rd shot, which I think is his final shot. So I don't think anybody has to worry about a 4th match here. I think 3 is the magic number, which in most programs, 3 is the magic number. So we're not going to get a Shane McMahon and Kevin Owens ongoing program. I don't think we're going to get a Roman Reigns and Baron Corbin unbelievably long, like 6-month long program. This one's going to end, I think, at 3. And it should. But I don't see Kevin Owens in any scenario really winning unless they've just been, WWE management have been so wowed by his performances at TLC and at the Christmas unexplained cage match for the Universal Championship that we got no explanation for. I think that, which I think I really did. I loved his match at TLC. I think it was one of his best ever to date in WWE. But I don't think all of this said overshadows what Roman Reigns has done over the last 5 to 6 months, which has been nothing short of brilliant. Nothing short of brilliant. And this past week, with their interview with one another, or their last word with one another, whatever you want to call it, Kevin Owens showed great emotion. He's very sensitive about his family, with his father, his grandfather. He talked about what his tattoos been on his knuckles. Roman Reigns was very kind of just quietly angry and annoyed and didn't want to hear the truth, and he actually just hit the remote on the TV, so to speak, which, I mean, a lot of it doesn't make sense. Apparently,
I know.
Apparently he has a remote to a camera. He's not watching a TV screen. He's looking at a camera. You can't just hit a remote on a camera.
What's that? Go ahead.
And I knew when I saw that, I'm like, oh, he's going to say something on that, because it's preposterous. It doesn't make sense. You don't look at a TV screen and there's no camera on the TV screen. But I know what effect they were going for, so I'm actually willing to overlook that just stupidness that WWE does at times when they have camera angles in places that shouldn't, and so I'm sure some people didn't even consciously pick that up, but I get the effect. I understand the effect, so I'm willing to let it pass because of Roman Reigns. The purpose of it was to have him just completely dismiss Kevin Owens. He's not worth my time. I don't want to hear him anymore. But they could have at least done okay, he shoves the camera away, pushes the cameraman down, and walks away. But I understand the effect they were going for. So yeah, let me hear your thoughts on that.
Well, okay, it was so hokey. I'm like, all I could think is, I need to get one of those remotes. And then I thought, well, where would I put the camera? And oh, dear Lord. I like your idea of just shove the camera away, because it goes into how vicious he is and how uncaring. And, you could go half Rick Rude, when he would say, cut the music, cut the camera. Yes, and maybe someone doesn't do it right away. And then all you have to do to sell it is his eyes. You watch his eyes cut across like he's staring at a cameraman, lower his brow just a second, bam, fade to black. Yep. We don't want to make him angry. Shoving the camera also works. I love that, just because it just shows attitude. It just shows great attitude, just get it out of my face. But I like the more it's like Darth Vader versus Darth Maul. When we all watch The Phantom Menace, and we try to forget a lot of it too, but Darth Maul was so amazing with his lightsaber, and how, and you're like, wow, Darth Vader could never stand up to him. If you had a battle of the Darths, and then you realize Darth Vader walked into a room, and he just moved his finger and he was choking people. It was a whole other level, and that's what I like about if Reigns just kind of says, turn it off, and then just gives a look and it's off. That shows me he's on upper echelon. He's at the top of the mountain. So the remote, hokey, it's just bad TV. It's really bad TV, and it's a bunch of Guys in creative, like, we don't have to explain it. People forget about it tomorrow. That's what it is. That's what it is.
It's just a lack of basic, like, production. I mean, I look, I totally get the effect they're going for. I agree with the effect they were going for, but it's the methodology of that effect that I disagree with. Like, and I know we're just talking about one small thing here. It's just because it represents a much larger issue of lazy production at times with WWE. I think that's really what we're getting at with, like the biggest, most egregious thing I've seen ever over the last 5 years was when Shane McMahon got his head put through a car window in a parking lot by AJ Styles prior to their WrestleMania match, and there was a camera somehow live feeding perfectly at the angle Shane McMahon's head went through. It's just God, I just, that kind of stuff is just so amateur. Like, you're insulting the intelligence of your audience at that point. But anyway, we're going to go down a dark road if we continue with this. So,
I know.
It really is a slippery slope for hours. However, Roman Reigns, I think, retains. I think he is the right choice. You're so close to WrestleMania. I would not derail him. I would actually have Roman Reigns as champion for many, many, many months. Like, I would want people so angry that he's still able to hang on to this belt, because Roman Reigns has one thing that is really evaded most heels in WWE, is he has real heel heat, not the kind of heel heat like Sami Zayn, who really isn't a heel. There's so many people who have the heel label, but they're not really heels. And Randy Orton had it over the summer with what he did. I think he was one of the few to finally tap into real heel heat. I was actually wanting to see somebody beat the holy hell out of him. Roman Reigns, I feel that same way, and I always knew he had it in him. And so I would not blow this off. They've got something really special with Roman Reigns right now, and I would not stunt it. As great as Kevin Owens is, and that's really hard for me to say, even Kevin Owens, I don't think having him capture the belt is worth derailing what they've done with Roman Reigns as champion. So any final thoughts before we get to the Women's Royal Rumble match?
No, I'm with you as far as Roman extending his championship reign. There's so many factors, but the biggest factors to me is, one, I don't really see a credible babyface. And we'll touch on that a little bit more when we get to the Men's Rumble. But I don't see a credible babyface to be a real threat to him, unless you have a defector from Raw that comes over. I think that there's too much on his shoulders, and I think that they found, it's the right place, right time kind of thing. And a lot of people liken it to, The Rock turning heel, but The Rock's was lightning in a bottle, whereas Reigns was trial by error, and it worked. It worked in the greatest way. And it's also a benefit of not having fans, because say the fans were kind of against it. They made it work without the fans, defecating on it. So he's in a very unique place to not have a challenger. He's in a very unique place to embrace the character and take it to a newer level. I think it's in a really good place. I think, could it be a couple clicks better? Absolutely. Just with small things like we were talking about, telling someone to turn off a view, a live feed and give them a look, as opposed to using a remote to something that doesn't exist. It's better writing, it's better cleanup, and it's better character depth, it's better character texture. I wouldn't mind seeing, when they get back to live, the old, here he comes walking in a suit, like show the man in a 3-piece suit. And, as they're following him to, his dressing room, he just turns around and shoves the cameraman away and asks him where he thinks he's going. And then, no goofiness, just a serious look. And then instead of that slow, we'll fade to commercial, maybe an apology by the cameraman, and actually from the cameraman's perspective, spin the camera around, go the other direction, and then cut away. Something a little bit different than let's leave them thinking for over, commercial break. So that's how it could be a couple clicks better, but let him run with that belt, and whoever you find as a challenger, let's not draw out the best of 3 series in gimmicky matches, just because whoever he's going against is not at this point going to come out looking strong in defeat. They're just going to look like they were defeated. Yeah,
I hear you, and I don't think that it all comes down to all roads lead to Roman Reigns, which I used to hate to say as a babyface, but I want all roads to lead to Roman Reigns right now because he's doing, he literally is carrying the company on his back. I mean, I think that, yes, you have Drew McIntyre who's doing a great job as champion, but if you look at the overall ascent of a star from summer to now, Roman Reigns is at number one. I mean, he has been that good with very few to almost no missteps in my estimation. I'm sure I could nitpick if I really tried, but I think they've done as good as you could possibly do with anyone for this sustained period of time. So I hate to say it, Kevin Owens. If it was anyone else versus Kevin Owens, anyone other than Roman Reigns, I would say you got to put it on KO. This is his time. He can go to Mania. Nope, and I hate to say it. So. Okay, let's get to the Women's Royal Rumble because these matches have so much going on with them. And right now, as it stands, I think we have, I'm looking at the numbers here, 13 of 30 entrants only announced for the Women's Royal Rumble match. So this one, there are some possibilities here. You know, you have Nia Jax, you have Charlotte Flair, you have Bianca Belair, one of the favorites, you have Bayley, Mandy Rose, Dana Brooke, Peyton Royce, Alexa Bliss, Shayna Baszler. So I'll take this one first. I think, boy, this to me is actually, as much as I may sound like I'm struggling, to me is easier than the men's because the men's still has so many unknowns. My official pick, this is really, really tough because I'm between, I'll tell you what I'm battling in my head. I'm battling between Bianca Belair and I'm battling between Alexa Bliss. And yes, Charlotte Flair's out there. They could say, oh, she won it twice in a row. I think fans would not really be enthralled with that. And you can still get to Asuka versus Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. She doesn't have to win the Rumble. You can get there many, many ways. At the Elimination Chamber, you can get it just naturally happening. So you don't have to always win the Rumble to obviously main event WrestleMania. I mean, because that's only half the story. There's still two brands. So I'm going to go with Alexa Bliss on this one. And that's not easy for me to say because everyone is going to Bianca Belair. Everybody's going Bianca. Everybody's doing Bianca Belair. And I understand why. And she will certainly be in the Final Four, and deservingly so. She eliminated, 8 women last year. She was a standout last year. And, you know, there's a good case to be made for her winning this year. She got a massive win over Bayley this week. All the, WWE, I'm about to say the buzzword, all the momentum went behind Bianca. I know, because momentum, if I hear that one more, it's almost as bad as hearing Michael Cole say boss time or big dog. It's bad. But it is Bianca Belair. Right now, she should be the focus. And she is going to be a massive star. She's on her way. I have nothing against Bianca Belair. I think she is a future women's champion. And she could very well win the Royal Rumble. There's a good case to be made. Charlotte Flair, good case to be made. It's Charlotte Flair. She's always in the running anytime you're talking championship or winning a big match. Charlotte's name is in there, and with good reason. The rest of them, Nia Jax, no. Bayley, no. She just lost the belt, and she seems to kind of be on the descent. Dana Brooke, no. Mandy Rose, no. Peyton Royce, no. Shayna Baszler is in the conversation. Liv Morgan, Ruby Riott, Tamina, Natalya. I don't think any of those women at this current stage are warranted a Royal Rumble victory. So Alexa Bliss, and here's why I say Alexa Bliss. It's kind of a couple fold here. Number one, Alexa Bliss has arguably had I think the biggest ascent in the women's side of any of the women. Yes, Bianca Belair is in the conversation, but Alexa Bliss got immediately stuck with The Fiend, who's main event. And she has done a brilliant job of being the extension, that arm, one of the evil arms of The Fiend. And she's done an awesome job of doing that. And now we've seen the evolution of her character, of burning Randy Orton, turning into that dark, kind of like summoning her powers character that I'd love to see them pull off when the fans are there, by the way, of just being this dark, evil character. And right now, I think she is slightly the favorite to win. And I would love to see a championship run with Alexa Bliss facing Sasha Banks. I mean, she could go to SmackDown. Yes, The Fiend is on Raw. I mean, there's some moving parts here, but I think Alexa Bliss winning the Rumble would make sense from my end because of how good she's been, and putting the belt on her, seemingly being unbeatable with The Fiend's powers. Again, The Fiend's powers I'm back and forth on because it's kind of hokey at times and almost unbelievable that
Yes.
you can be burned alive, yet wrestling moves take you down. I mean, it is preposterous. But Alexa Bliss is kind of doing her own thing, and I like that. I want her to be in her own story, not just all about the Fiend all the time, because then you're attached to what he's doing. You don't have your own story arc. And they were doing that for a little while with Nikki Cross, and then she just went into the abyss, into nowhere. So I'm not easily saying this, but I think Alexa Bliss wins. Bianca Belair is a very, very close second. What about you?
Okay, so as I was telling you before, I put together what I believe was a top 5 situation for each Royal Rumble match, as well as people that I would like to see as surprise entrants, as well as people I believe WWE would like to see as surprise entrants. So I'm going to give you my top 5 picks in descending order from 1 to 5, who I believe has the best chance of winning the Women's Royal Rumble. My number 1 is going to blow you away because, honestly, we don't have 30 women for a Royal Rumble, so that means there's going to be a lot of call-ups. And I'm actually putting the stock in someone who used to have the momentum, Rhea Ripley. I'm going to give her the biggest stepping stone she's ever had in her career because I think she was due for this 7 months ago before her career got derailed and sidetracked. And the fact is she has every tool to hang with every girl. She's big enough to where she looks like she can go toe-to-toe with Baszler. She looks like she could take out Nia Jax, Tamina. I mean, she can go against the biggest of the big, but she can wrestle. She is a wrestling machine, and she has a legit character. So we have a full meal on a plate. We don't just have some stuff where we say, the steak was okay, but the potatoes were dry, whatever else. I can't say a bad thing about Rhea Ripley. She's had the it factor for a long time. We've talked about the dreaded word momentum, and I thought that's where this was coming from when you were making your references, because Rhea Ripley had all the momentum in the world, and all of a sudden, stripped, rug pulled right out from underneath her feet. And what was the point? I mean, was it an experiment to see if it would work? Because the answer is yes. And we all believe that we've seen the last of her in NXT, and there's no other way to get her to that next level by taking her right to the top right away. Because you have 2 months. 2 months. If it's not going to work, you can find a way to finesse it and make it not work, so to speak, and put somebody else in the spot. If you have cold feet and regrets and second thoughts, it can be done. I mean, you're going to have, Pat Patterson's gone, so you're going to have somebody who's got a great finish to create a great storyline and arc to try to sculpt it, because I really don't want to see Rhea Ripley's character defaced, demeaned, or demoralized, especially if she's going to do something as big as which I predict and hope, and that's win the Women's Royal Rumble. It's an exclamation point on it. It'll be the first time where you say anything can truly happen, because her name hasn't been brought up. We know, I don't see anything left for her in NXT. It's been pretty much known that it's been a sayonara situation for her, and the fact that I don't believe she's really been that prevalent on the programming. So not only is it her big call up, I think it's her big moment. And then all you have is 60 days to tailor it, to take that pebble, put it in the sand grinder, and turn it into a beautifully refined, stone that it just has no chinks in the armor. And I think it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be smooth. And that's what I think. I think it's Rhea Ripley. And in descending order after that, I have Bianca Belair. Just because she seems to get that momentum that's pushed, then pulled, pushed, then pulled. If she cut off that ponytail, they couldn't pull her back. But on a serious note, she's close. I think the thing that's hurt her the most has been her association with the Street Profits, because for a lot of times, especially in their beginnings of their tag runs, and when they went from the super athletic team with so much potential to the all of a sudden can't be pinned tag team champions, she's always by their side. And they went from guys who are really talented to guys who are very irritating, and they took the bad parts of the New Day, the who, what, ha, 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 goofiness, and the screaming during the matches, and took it to a whole new level. And you've got someone who's their cheerleader, so to speak, who's married to one of, the performers in the ring who's supposed to get the singles push, you overexpose that person, and that was Bianca's downfall. And that's why that momentum, I felt, was pulled away, because you already had her on TV every week. Now you're not only having her on TV, you're also feeding her wins in her own match. So she's on 2 to 3 segments. People are getting bored. So these become low segments. Oh, I've already seen Bianca for the night. Okay, so we saw her for an interview with the Street Profits. Then we saw her accompany them to the ring. We saw her maybe get involved or chase around their valet like she did with Selena Vega. Now she's going to have a match with Selena Vega, and now they're going to have a wrap-up interview. Overexposure creates mediocrity, and that's what has hurt Bianca. So that's why I think she's my number 2, but I think she's going to have an incredibly strong showing. Then my number 3 is going to be my girl Shayna Baszler, just because she's bound to break out sooner or later. I put her as one of the last 3 in, but also my third pick in that order of potentially a person to win the Royal Rumble, just because she's ready for it. And if the writing's on the wall, if Jax and Baszler do not get those titles, I really see Baszler almost getting the nod over Rhea. It's just her time to break out. Then my number 4 is just sad, but I'm going to say it, and it also carries through to the sidebar feuds. Lacey Evans. I tried to mumble it, but yeah, Lacey Evans. Vince likes her. She's way far off from being in that caliber. I honestly believe that they could make the mistake of thinking that they could polish her up and put a new coat of paint on her in 60 days. I really don't think so. Just the in-ring's not there yet. I'm not saying she's terrible. It's just not there. She's not fluid. It shows. And now her interviews are looking really choppy. And that whole thing on Monday with her and Rick and everything, it goes beyond. I mean, Charlotte's delivering great work. I mean, it's supposed to be emotional, but it's better just as spiteful, you're an old man to her father, which upsets him. But then Lacey creeping in and sneak attacking her and doing the over-the-top woo and everything else. It's so scripted. It's so look at the camera. It's so smile into the camera. It's so, oh, I'm creeping in. You might not want to see me coming into it, but yet they love her and they're exposing her, and Vince loves her and wants her, and I don't. And I just have a bad feeling because of everything going on with her and Charlotte. And you have that sidebar feud. If they don't have an interaction at the Rumble, which will not kill this and end this, obviously, if Rick is involved, I see that she might have a good shot and Rick might get involved there too. So my number 5 and my last one is Alexa Bliss. And the only reason I put her so low is because she's a talented in-ring performer. I mean, sure, she's the size of my thumb, but the girl's amazingly talented. I never thought she'd be as good as she was when she came out of NXT. I'm incredibly wrong for that. I think she's one of my favorite females on the roster. She has created this character. She's running with this character. But the reason she's so low is because she has developed into the Fiend also. She doesn't need a belt. She can bring a little bit to it, but she does not need a belt. And all that hocus pocus, goofy stuff, cinematography, that speaking in demon voices. It's like you said, when we get a live crowd back and that belt's on her and they try to do that and they boo it out of the building, they're booing her out of the building. What Vince hears is the person, not the hokey stuff that you're portraying on the person that is ruining them. I rather see her with her contact lenses in, acting dark like Nancy Benoit did when she was known as the Fallen Angel back in Florida in like 84, 85 with Kevin Sullivan. Yeah, I went there because I can. But instead, we might get too much smoke and mirrors that we can see through, and that with the belt could ruin it. That's why she's so low on it. She doesn't need that belt, and she's going to be by the Fiend. And when you're hip to hip with somebody that polarizing and that charismatic, whether it be positive charisma or negative charisma, it's not heat, and it's not go-home heat. People want to see what she does, so she doesn't have to have a title around her waist, and that's my 5.
Wow, well, I'm glad we're not. We certainly are on opposite ends of the spectrum, and that's good. I'm glad, and I did hear about Rhea Ripley, and I should have brought her up, and I'm glad you did. I'm sticking by my guns just because I want to. I think it's better that I stick by my guns. It's more fun. But you make a good case for Rhea Ripley. She is on a lot of people's lists. I was just looking at the confirmed entrants, 13 out of 30. I mean, my God, there's 17 people who haven't been announced or a surprise, whatever. So yes, I've heard about Rhea Ripley. Certainly a good case to be made. and I'm all for Rhea Ripley winning, and I think that would generally make people happy from NXT. Even if you haven't watched NXT, you remember Rhea Ripley from last year, right? Like you
Yes.
remember what she did with Charlotte, and she kind of went into oblivion too. But she should be returning. I don't know if there'll be any other NXT quote call-ups to the main roster. I haven't heard anything. There's also Tessa Blanchard's being thrown around. All these names. I do believe that it's probably not going to be one of those, Ronda Rousey's returning type of things, even though she's on Vegas odds. Like, people actually have and are betting money on Ronda Rousey winning, which I would not do, by the way. I actually don't want Ronda Rousey back in the ring at all. Like, I don't want to see her ever again. I have no... Yeah, and people, it's Ronda Rousey, you don't want to see her because she completely crapped all over the product. I don't want to hear that, it's a work, she worked us into a work that's turned into a shoot, and she's using all these insider terms that she has no effing idea what she's talking about. She was in the business for a year. Like, I have no interest in her coming in to pretend to, as to use your word, defecate on the product, just to make it more real, because we all know what it is. I don't need someone coming in to break the fourth wall to make it more real for me, and really just, I don't want anything to do with Ronda Rousey ever again, even if it's to see her get beat up, because seeing her get beat up in a pro wrestling way doesn't satisfy me. I'd want to see her get beat up in an octagon. Because then I know it's to inflict actual pain. I have no interest in seeing her back in the WWE because she completely disrespected the business. And, she's a heel, she's supposed to... No, you just don't go there, right? Like, you don't go there, because then you're completely taking away the entire product, at the expense of you getting your match over? So I'm going on a Ronda Rousey rant. I would not expect her to see her in the Rumble. I hope we don't see Ronda Rousey in the Rumble. I have no interest in seeing her again. But I like your pick about my gosh, I lost her name. I'm getting
Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, Rhea Ripley. I'm getting so riled up about Ronda, who's not even on the roster. But Rhea Ripley is a very good candidate. I think she would be an excellent addition to the roster. That's a consistent addition, not just kind of hit and run like she did last year. I think her being here on the roster, SmackDown or Raw, really, would be a breath of fresh air to both rosters that I think honestly need a shakeup, because I feel like we've seen all the matchups that we can possibly see. We haven't seen, give me a matchup that we haven't seen on both rosters. We've seen everything, and they just kind of shuffle things around. So I think Rhea Ripley would be a nice shot in the arm, I'm still sticking with Alexa Bliss. I'm not changing my pick, but I totally get why you are choosing Rhea Ripley. That is a very solid pick. It's a quote shocking win, as somebody who hasn't even on Raw or SmackDown wins it. And nice pick.
Thank you very much. I'm here all week, and I say that from Memphis, Tennessee.
Any final thoughts on the Women's Royal Rumble before I lose my mind on Ronda?
Well, what I'm going to do is also throw in my surprise picks. What would be a legit surprise, and what would be the WWE version of a surprise.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so for the females, you hit the nail on the head, Tessa Blanchard. If she's in there, if she doesn't win it, she's like second to last person to be eliminated. And as you said on our last show, if you don't know who she is, you got to look her up, and you've got an automatic feud between her and Flair. I mean, you've got the daughters of two of the founding horsemen. It's perfect. Tessa is on a whole other level, and it's not like she doesn't need NXT. She's one of the people who should way bypass it, just like AJ Styles. It's some things you're just really above, and it's Tessa Blanchard being on a WWE product is must see TV. It is see it live, and it's if you have the DVR, you record it. It's not one of those things where you just read about it in dirt sheets or YouTube it. It's a moment you really want to see, because it's just going to be that cool, and it's going to be a clinic of very good, very fluid, very solid wrestling. And if she's in there with any of those four horsewomen, or Baszler, or Bliss, or just a couple of, or Ripley, the ones who can really go, we're going to see some really awesome wrestling. And so I really want it. That would be a legit surprise. Another legit surprise, free agent currently, nowhere near as good as Tessa, but because of who her husband is, what about Taya Valkyrie?
I didn't even think about that. Yeah,
Yep, that's
it's possible.
John Morrison's wife.
Yeah, yep.
I could see her being more as a surprise entrant into the Rumble, but then mainlining into NXT first. So, because like you said, there's 13 confirmed people. It's a 30-person Rumble. So therefore, I obviously know that there's going to be a lot of call-ups. I'm actually interested in seeing Toni Storm from NXT. I've been a big fan of hers. Dakota Kai, I'm a big fan of. Not a big fan of Shotzi Blackheart for the way she wiggles that green hair and acts kind of all weird. But those two, Tegan Nox, there's some really cool names that I think would be fun in the Rumble. Of course, a lot of them definitely they need a little bit more season on the steak before it's ready to serve. So, back to NXT they are after this, but it'll make a great Rumble. And definitely if Taya Valkyrie comes in, I think she could have a decent showing and go to the upper mid card to the upper card of NXT before she, eventually gets a call up to the main roster. I'm not all about everybody going, straight to main roster, but there's some people I believe who are above it. I just don't think Taya at this point is quite the household name and quite the draw that Tessa Blanchard would be. But so those are my two, what would I think would be great surprise picks. And then the WWE version of surprise picks, I had your favorite and mine, Ronda Rousey. And my difference is I don't want to see her either, just because all of her matches looked incredibly scripted. And some people say she did it on purpose. Other people said because she didn't understand pro wrestling. And I go with the latter. I think that she was the type of person who had to remember the whole match move by move in her mind instead of doing what she naturally did in the octagon. As I said before, she was so forced down our throats and overexposed. She was terrible on the mic. I mean, she got verbally destroyed by Alexa Bliss when they had their feud on the mic. I mean, she made her look dumbfounded, inane, befuddled. I mean, she made her look really bad on the mic, and that was just promos. And then ring presence and ring psychology, she had none. She always had to get into her octagon stance, and I get that's the way she fought, but Baszler is everything that they wanted Ronda Rousey to be, and her championship run and her one-year run was so incredibly forgettable. No one talks about it except they're like, bring her back. I'm sure if John Jones said he retired, the first thing, everybody would say right away, bring John Jones to WWE. No, I'm tired of seeing all these MMA people come over, because all of a sudden it's going to be no people, no wrestlers. I am for bringing back some gimmicks, nothing over the top, no more wrestling garbage men. I know that's always the go-to, but the point is, you can't have too many of the same thing. The Undertaker was special because it was just he and Kane. Now, if we had 7 or 8 Undertakers, it watered it down and destroyed it. That's why the Ministry didn't work, because you had all these people trying to be in the same vein. So what happened to the Acolytes? They became the APA. What happened to the Brood? They separated. Edge and Christian became Edge and Christian, the Goofballs. Then they became the Heartthrobs. Then they became whatever. They evolved. You have to evolve characters. You can't have all the same thing. So those basically Ronda Rousey, and the other one for the women's Royal Rumble is I'm sorry, man. I always loved you, Matt. James Ellsworth. There, I said it.
Imagine, and look, I would love, beyond my just disgust with that, imagine WWE, like Twitter, if that happens, if James Ellsworth, that would be like Santina Marella winning the Women's Battle Royal 10, 15 years ago, but put that on steroids, no pun intended, and now you would have a complete explosion against WWE, I think, because people wouldn't look at it as, it's entertainment. People would look at it as, that's super disrespectful to the women. Like, people would lose their minds. So I do not want to see James Ellsworth ever again. I have no problem not seeing him again. The other dark horse that I didn't even think of until just now is Becky Lynch, right? Like people, and Becky Lynch. Look, I saw the picture she put up on Instagram. She's doing some workout routine. She looks good. I actually like her when she doesn't have all the red hair and makeup and stuff. She looks more normal, like a person. And so she certainly looks good. Doesn't look like she just delivered a baby a month and a half ago. But I've made this argument several times over the last several weeks when people have asked me, or people have made the argument, Becky Lynch, she come back for the Rumble in time for Mania. She just gave birth 6-7 weeks ago. even if by some act of God she is in great ring shape, which she's not, there's just no way, then why wouldn't she want to spend time with her newborn child? Why would you not want to do that? This is the time to do that. They're super young. You'd have to get back into the WWE. Yes, you're not traveling right now, but you eventually will be, and then maybe in the next coming year. We'll see. But you only have to go to Orlando or Tampa and back home. So maybe that's a little bit of a hook for her to possibly get back in. But I don't think it would be a good look on her just giving birth 6 weeks ago either to all of a sudden pop back into wrestling. I don't think it's a good look for her. I don't think, again, she's making her own decisions. It's her own life. But if it were me, I would want to take as much time as possible. This is the only time you get a chance to do that with your newborn kid. And I just would not, I don't think it's a smart move on anybody's, at least from a wrestling perspective, and how people would perceive her of coming back so early. I don't think it's a good move. So what are your thoughts on Becky Lynch possibly coming back?
Well, you can't risk exposing a newborn with a,
COVID, yeah.
unfully developed immune system to COVID. If she came back, the only capacity I would like to see her in a commentary role for the Women's Rumble. I think that would be beneficial to get the commentary of not some snide heel, like, I hate to say the name of Lacey Evans again, because some of these people don't fit the role in the right way when they do commentary. It's like they're so stuck in character, but they don't know what to say without somebody piping into their ear. So it comes out really, really fake, really syrupy sweet. I think Becky Lynch could do a great job, a fantastic job, doing commentary, or they could do a live remote, which I think would be really awesome, because it makes her look good as a mother. I don't know any mother who'd want to be away from their child that soon, or especially with the fact that they could expose them to a disease. But a live remote, maybe almost like a picture-in-picture as commentary on her thoughts. And I think that'd be really cool. It's showing she's still out there, showing she's okay. Maybe a quick, here's the baby, da-da-da-da, but then like her sitting at a desk and her just giving, her feed and what she thinks, because I think she could add much more layers of satisfaction in the moves and just calling stuff. And, if she has a little bit of free reign and they're not piping into her ear, she could, right hand by Charlotte, I felt that before, just a little bit of an endorsement of some of the tussles that she's had with some of the ladies, and maybe say something like, I've never faced Rhea Ripley. I can't wait to take her on. Toni Storm is a fantastic competitor. She's from over the pond too. And, we grew up, with the Irish, the Irish, English kind of, Civil War. So I can't wait to get my hands on her. I think that kind of layer could be added to it. So that's the only capacity I would like to see her back in. I really don't want to see her risking the health of her child. And I don't think she will, but that's the only way she could come back in a surprise capacity that I think would be satisfactory for both the company and for her and her family.
Yeah, that is certainly it too. The other part is obviously health, which is number one right now. So I'm totally with you. Yes. All right. Well, I do want to move on to the men's Royal Rumble. And by the way, as I look at the current Vegas odds for the women's Royal Rumble, I will say I'll give you the top five.
Okay.
The top five women that are odds-on favorites in Vegas to win the Royal Rumble are number one, Bianca Belair.
Okay.
Number two, Alexa Bliss. Number three is Rhea Ripley. 4 is Charlotte Flair. 5 is Bayley, and I'll do number 6. And 6 is Sonya Deville, which I didn't even think of. I do want her to win. Ronda Rousey is number 7, and Shayna Baszler is number 8. So these are the odds right now, guys. Like, let's take a step back. People need to be smart with their money, but right now, man, oh man. And just for hilarity, the bottom 3, or I'm sorry, let me do the bottom. I'll do the bottom 5 of who are odds-on favorites: Chelsea Green, Tamina, Marina Shafir, Jessamine Duke, and Stephanie McMahon is the absolute bottom of the barrel in terms of odds to win. So Stephanie McMahon is still out there, possibly winning the Royal Rumble. The absolute bottom. I mean, you're talking about like a 50,000. Yeah, no, oh my God, no. The odds are 50,000 to 1 on her. So
Just
Yeah.
nobody tells Stephanie, because that's going to flip flop to number 1 in just 5 seconds. It'll be a surprise, Daddy. No.
Yeah. That's true. So I just wanted to put that out there. But okay, let's get to the men's, because we could talk about the women's forever.
Okay.
I'll give my analysis quickly of the men.
Sure.
And I'll actually give the odds-on favorites here for the top 5 of the men's Royal Rumble. Odds-on favorite right now, Vegas. Again, Vegas. Number 1 is Daniel Bryan. Number 2 is Edge. 3 is Keith Lee. 4 is Brock Lesnar. 5 is Big E. And then it goes on to Shinsuke, Drew McIntyre, and so forth. And just also for hilarity, the bottom the bottom 5 for the men's are Dolph Ziggler, Humberto Carrillo, Robert Roode, Shane McMahon, and Vince McMahon. So they're still on there. They are the bottom 5 for the odds-on favorites in Vegas. So I will say this: if you put some money on Vince and he ends up winning, you will become an overnight millionaire. I mean, like, that's how low the odds are. Okay, so my thoughts on the men's Royal Rumble. I've been struggling so much. People have asked me on the mailbag all week, all month, who do you think could win the men's Royal Rumble? Who do you have? Who do you have? And forever I have said, and I've stayed relatively consistent, that I thought with Drew McIntyre dropping the belt to Goldberg, that the reconciliation to that in Vince McMahon's eyes would be having him win the Royal Rumble. Like, okay, he lost the belt to Goldberg early in the night, but the reconciliation to that is, well, he's going to win the Royal Rumble. And then he's going to go on to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, which I would love Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. I wish they hadn't have blown it off in a stupid, pointless Survivor Series match that still has zero implications to me, but which I really, really dislike. I know it's been a couple of months now, but that's my thought. That was my thought for several weeks. And looking at this now, they've done a lot of foundation building for Daniel Bryan over the last several weeks. Outside of losing clean to Shinsuke, losing clean to Cesaro, which kind of undermines my argument of possibly Daniel Bryan winning, which is a big deal. But he's come out the last couple of SmackDowns and talked about how, he's never won the Royal Rumble. He's never won the Rumble. Every time they say, I've never done this or never done that, just like with Goldberg winning the WWE Championship, it's very strong possibility that Daniel Bryan wins and challenges Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. And they have a ton of backstory with Roman and Bryan. There's a lot of backstory that goes all the way back to 2014 with these guys, and they could draw on some real stuff of the fans rejecting Roman Reigns and wanting Daniel Bryan, which was 100% true. And Daniel Bryan is one of the biggest culprits for the fans turning on Roman because of how relatable he was. He was the guy at the right time in the right place, and Roman was the perceived choice by WWE. I mean, there's so much they could draw on from that it would be a very good story between Bryan and Roman leading to WrestleMania 37. Certainly it could be. Edge, again, I don't think that there's a whole, I'm just going with the top couple here of the odds. Edge, I don't think wins the Rumble, and it's because it's about Edge and it's about Orton. Orton's not going to win the championship, and nor do I think Edge should challenge for the championship at this point. He has not yet fulfilled the story with Randy Orton. I understand Orton is in a program with The Fiend, and they should finish that before Edge gets to Orton. It would be very convoluted if Edge suddenly sticks his head in The Fiend and Orton's business. So that has to play itself out, which I think will, at probably Elimination Chamber, be the end of it, because Orton is going to be in this match. And I think that we will have The Fiend interfere, do his hocus pocus, eliminate Orton, and somehow The Fiend also gets eliminated. If he's even in the match. I mean, we don't even know if he's in it. So it's just going to be, to me, a story to build Orton and The Fiend. We'll probably have a tease of Edge and Orton. Like, they'll make eye contact, or Orton will be in the ring and Edge's music will hit, and you think they're going to go at it, and then The Fiend interferes and Orton is gone, or over the top rope. So I think there'll definitely be an interaction between Edge and Orton, but I think it's going to be limited because the focus right now is on The Fiend and Orton. So, all that being said, my pick is Daniel Bryan. I know it's not interesting. I know it's very predictable. I know it's not controversial, and it's not a cool, sexy pick. but it is, I think, a smart pick given the story that they could build with or with Bryan and Roman Reigns leading to WrestleMania 37. I think there's a lot to draw from, and we have yet to see Daniel Bryan in a title picture in quite some time. So I like that. Yes, Daniel Bryan is still the underdog heading into WrestleMania 37 if that happens. Again, you can make a case for McIntyre winning the Rumble after losing the belt to Goldberg. You can make a case, I think, even for Brock Lesnar returning. People are talking about that. He's actually number 4 on the list here. You can make a case for Shinsuke Nakamura, Big E. I mean, I wouldn't want Big E to win this early. Bray Wyatt. I mean, Seth Rollins. What about a returning Seth Rollins? You know, like this is very, very difficult. This is one of the hardest Royal Rumbles I've ever had to predict. Most difficult, complex, so many moving parts. I'm going to go with, unfortunately, the easy, lazy answer, but I think it's the safe one of Daniel Bryan winning the Men's Royal Rumble for 2021. What about you, my friend?
Well, once again, I did a top 5, and it's going to be kind of boring compared to everything that you said because there's a lot of similarities. However, I'm going to tweak my number 1 originally was, you're not going to believe this, some guy named Daniel Bryan. I think that his character, it's hard for me to believe that he's going to win it after they had him hanging out with Chad Gable and Otis doing just goofy things, that terrible haircut, that Miz haircut that detracts from his character. I'm sorry, the haircut's got to go. And I know people like, what's that have to do with anything? Trust me, if the Road Warriors came out with giant afros that were pink, you'd be like, who are these doofuses? Okay. What I think, and especially the loss to Cesaro, just when he had multiple losses, my thought is that they're trying to reproduce lightning in a bottle and build him as an underdog again when he's transcended that. He's a legitimate star and a legitimate, credible athlete, top tier upper card. He's not mid card. He's no upper mid card. He is a definite main eventer, period. A championship caliber main eventer. In fact, he spent most of his time with a belt around his waist post-retirement than he did prior, especially on the world title level. So with that being said, to try to break him back down to the level where he's the scrappy underdog again doesn't work. And if that's what they're trying to do, to have him go into this and then act as if it is a surprise, is going to blow up in their faces. And not that I don't believe Daniel Bryan should be there or be the one for it. It's like you said, he has legit backstory with Roman Reigns since 2014. So therefore, we've got something that we can go back on and say, okay, look, these guys have a history. It's never quite been settled. We've always kept these two away from each other. Now it's time for them to settle it once and for all. We can do that. But with the build has been just so weak that it's too easy for me to take him the same as you. So I'm going to bump this one to a pick I do not want to make, but I'm going to make it anyway. And that's the person that they've been shoving down our throats for 2 months now. And it's a person I'm not a real big fan of. I think it might be Sheamus. And here's why. Because they've brought up all of his history with Drew McIntyre. If Drew McIntyre retains, I can almost see Sheamus doing this completely. They want to build that story. Triple H is in love with Sheamus because they're workout buddies. They bring up so many facts about him in the ring. They keep talking about his 10 years, multiple-time world champion, which really the asterisk should say multiple-time transitional world champion because he was only holding that belt until they could put it on somebody else, always. I think that having him decimate 2 people at the same time, always going back and forth with Keith Lee, which hurt Keith Lee's stock, but somehow it's not like Sheamus looks good in defeat or whatever. They're always trying to show you, oh, Sheamus is here, Sheamus is this, Sheamus is that. They love this guy, and WWE are the people that see him, and especially the McMahons and Triple H. They think they have so much stock in this guy, and I can't figure out why. I mean, aside from his matches with Matt Riddle and a couple other matches he had about a month ago, his matches have been completely boring, mundane, and the same old thing with some of the weakest-looking finishers I had seen in years. And yet this guy just keeps getting straps put around his waist. And I think that's why that they've talked so much about, his backstory with McIntyre, putting him over, just everything. He's been all over the place. He isn't overexposed, but he's exposed every show, at least 2 segments. And this is really funny. I don't know if you caught this on the other day when he was wrestling John Morrison, and they had mentioned that these two went at it again about 10 years ago for the King of the Ring finals when Sheamus bested him, and then went on for his first championship title win over Daniel Bryan. Who did we just bring up? Daniel Bryan. Are we getting the same competitors from 10 years ago? And the statement was made that WWE fans want the same old thing as opposed to developing new stars, and that's why we're getting Goldberg in main events in 2021. I just see the writing on the wall on this one that Sheamus might actually be the person. I don't want it. I'm going to tell you right now, I do not want it. But he was my number 2 pick by the way that they have just been building him, talking about him, putting his face all over everything, and associating him with the champion who's gotten over. Both champions are over, but it's been way more organic in Drew McIntyre's journey, especially how he left the company and came back and everything. It's been way more organic, and I think that's why it's going to be him. My backups after that would be number 3. Sheamus is 1. Daniel Bryan has been next. So then Keith Lee, just because he's up there, but I think they still want to season him for another year. I think he's ready, but I think in McMahon's eyes, he just doesn't think that the public want to glom onto him, especially the fact that you've got Big E over on SmackDown in such a prominent role. They are so incredibly similar in build. Obviously, Big E has the following from the New Day thing, and Keith Lee has the incredible athleticism and talent. His moveset is way better, and he doesn't have a really lame finisher. Then my next would be Braun Strowman. We can't believe who's going to defeat him. He's so huge. Big man. How do you get him off his feet? Then after that, I had Big E. But 2 things that get me that I think should not be allowed is, 1, Drew McIntyre, if you're a champion, regardless if you win or lose, you shouldn't, and they did it with Brock Lesnar, you should not be allowed to be in the Royal Rumble. It's just silly. It's like, oh, if I win, then I don't have to fight anybody. It's just dumb. It's cheesy booking. It's bully mentality booking. It doesn't work for a babyface. It's definitely heel booking, but it almost guarantees you that Drew McIntyre is going to lose. It becomes water-thin storylines. And I don't want to see a water-thin storyline. I don't need a surprise, but I definitely need my whole entree, not just the main course. So once you put a champion in there, it cheapens your events that happened earlier that day. So if Drew McIntyre is definitely set for the Rumble, you can guarantee Goldberg's going to win. There's no other reason for him to be in there. Just the same thing as, The Miz with the Money in the Bank. So you win 2 title shots? That's inane. It makes no sense. It's sloppy booking. It's sloppy storytelling. And so that's kind of like my lineup. I'm going to give you my good surprises, or I'm going to put these as probable surprises, but in a good vein, okay? And they are not for winners, but just making an appearance. Damian Priest, that's his call-up. Just because I'm positive, just like Rhea Ripley, it's like there's that so-called senior class of NXT that's ready for the main event, and they love Damian Priest, and it's kind of weird because I see him as winning a world title down the road in the not too near future, and it's kind of weird how he looks. He's got an eerily similar look to Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre. You kind of notice that, from the garb to the hair to everything. And then 2 more NXT, of course, Karrion Kross, because that guy should have never been in NXT to begin with. Way too talented. He's a legit character. He's a legit gimmick. He has everything. And if the stories I heard is true that he got main event money to go to NXT, if he got main roster money to go to NXT because they wanted him so bad, his NXT spell isn't going to be that long, especially winning the world championship or the NXT world title off of Keith Lee in his first takeover match, I believe, and barely being with the company a cup of coffee and Danish. I don't think he's long for NXT. And even if they want to have a couple more matches with him to pass a torch that he never really had to grab to begin with, I get it, but I see him as definitely making an appearance in the Royal Rumble. And Finn Balor, just because he transcends NXT, he should have never went back there to begin with. I get the fact that it was partly his choice because, it was partly company choice, because if you're going to counteract members of the Bullet Club, you go with the guy who started it, especially if he's going to be on there with Adam Cole, who used to be part of Bullet Club, so on and so forth. You want to get that indie look on both channels. And he's a tremendous performer, but that's why the company did it. He did it because it's a more serious product and it showcases what he's worth. So if AEW is worth as much money as they say, when they want to sign him, it's going to be a bigger contract for him to go join his old friends. Or if he wants to go to New Japan, they're going to sign him to ridiculous money. He was the first Universal Champion, so on and so forth. And his career wasn't floundering by feuding with the likes of Elias or, terrible barn burners with, Baron Corbin. It's that aspect is over. He's in the serious side of their product, and that's what people are going to pay attention to, and it doesn't damage his credibility or demean his character or what he's worth. So those are and Samoa Joe. If there's a time for him to get out from behind that commentary booth and be a legit competitor, we'll know by the beginning of the show if he's not part of it. I don't want to see a Booker T thing where he gets up and he's wearing the tux top or the suit top with the trunks underneath. That just kind of looks hokey. I would like to see he's not there tonight and then he becomes a participant. He doesn't have to win, but I unfortunately, I really do feel like Joe's in-ring career is probably behind him. It's better that he went on a high note than instead of going out like Taz, who had the path of rage in ECW just to come in, get one win over Kurt Angle, have it fluked out, and then just turn into a guy who's losing to Jerry Lawler. It was a terrible way for him to go out. I don't want to see Samoa Joe go out like that. So if he's going out now on his own terms as a commentator and extends his career, God bless him, go for it. Amen. But if he comes back, this is the time to do it. WWE style, if their version of a surprise or a return, Aleister Black, we haven't seen him in months. What has he been up to? Oh, my Lord. Forgive me for this one. The man that's going to go after Baron Corbin to defend Cain Velasquez. Tried to say it fast. Sorry.
No, you're killing me.
I'm sorry. The one that I see this meme all over Facebook. Are you excited to see him potentially back, Jinder Mahal? I'm surprised he still has a paycheck. Who even brought him back? Who even thought he puts eyeballs on stuff? I don't know why he's employed. A returning legend, but just who has no prayer, so they shouldn't be in the Royal Rumble, like Tatanka making his way to the ring. Woo, 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 woo. Just get out of the ring. But I see that. Oh, it's funny. Ha, ha, ha. No. Maybe a comedic celebrity like a Jon Stewart moment or a Drew Carey moment that we all just say, thanks for cheapening it. This is supposed to be for a world title shot. And here's obviously a person who could never win it. They don't have a prayer in hell. And yet you're going to stick them in there just so they run from some ginormous human being. I don't know if John Cena's a lock. I mean, in front of a live crowd, it's a cheap pop, but his time has come and gone, and sticking around really wouldn't help that much. Brock Lesnar, they'd make a big deal out of it, but as far as I know, the second his pen hits a paper for any kind of extended contract, it's going to be all over. It's too big of a name not to blow up. But then I'm afraid that would be Lesnar versus Goldberg, the rematch at WrestleMania, and that's, especially with the Peacock deal, you're just burying viewers at that point. You're just asking for people to dump your product. And then one more comedic entry, and that would be the number 30. Nia Jax tries to come out, but instead a one-off Curtis Axel jumps her and finally gets his spot in the Royal Rumble.
He's technically still in the Rumble. Yeah.
Exactly. So to sew that one up after all these years, that would be the comedic spot if they didn't throw like a comedic celebrity, and then it wouldn't be one of our shows if I didn't say probably Lars Sullivan.
Oh Lord, Lars Sullivan. I can just hear it. The freak. I mean, I can. Yeah. Please, no. I don't know what it is with the start and stops, just infatuation with Lars Sullivan. I don't know if they just can't find him, and he's too busy, Instagramming, messaging married women. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I really don't. I don't know what Lars Sullivan is up to. I don't know if I particularly care. I kind of lost interest after they, did it the second or third time of start and stop. This is just getting insanely ridiculous. So, well, quite a thorough analysis. I'm glad you brought up some things I didn't, think of, and I will say that we can guarantee ourselves a couple of things. We can guarantee ourselves, number one, that we will have people who are eliminated and no longer a legal part of the match eliminate people who are still in the match. You can guarantee that. You can guarantee that you will have people who hang out outside the ring and don't enter the ring, of which there should be a time limit or you're disqualified, because otherwise why wouldn't everyone just hang out outside the ring and wait for other people to just eliminate each other, and then you don't have to do any work and you just win the match. And lastly, whoever wins the match, both men and women, are corporately required as part of their contract to point to the WrestleMania sign. It is, and I know Drew McIntyre tried to own it last year as if, I know we all do this, but we kind of have to. And it's like, no, you don't. Like, we're supposed to believe that you're just this anomaly, this guy that's, not controlled by anybody, and yet everyone still does it. So you can guarantee that fireworks will go off while someone points at the WrestleMania sign. So those are three guarantees, regardless of who our picks, that are happening tomorrow night.
I'm there with you 100%. I hate the whole point. That's so stupid. It made sense, like, I don't know, like around like WrestleMania 18, 19, 20, where once in a while, but now, like, especially the worst one, and we'll bring her name up again, when Ronda Rousey did it, was real stiff and just like, oh, that was terrible. What I think also, something that we didn't touch on, but you kind of touched on it, because when I get rambling, I keep going, because, it keeps the stuttering factor down, but all the sidebar feuds are going to pay a lot of, or they're going to play a lot of interaction within the Rumble matches between the men and the women. So, of course, Lacey Evans and Charlotte are going to go at it because they've got a thing, because they don't have a assigned match that night. So we're going to see that as part of an elimination, so on and so forth. Whatever happens with the tag team women, or the tag team women's match, is going to play a factor into the Royal Rumble in the women's side. In the men's side, Orton's going to be there. If the Fiend's there, they're going to go right for each other. So we continue that, so that we can guarantee neither of them are going to win, because they've already got their own thing going. But then you also have to factor in Edge. So is Edge going to go straight for Orton, or is Edge and AJ going to pick up? And the reason I also said the good name of our own Lars Sullivan, he grows up so fast right in front of our eyes, is the fact that if you've got a behemoth in there the size of Strowman, either you're going to do it takes 8 people to eliminate him, which is a boring spot, because I think Almost, whatever his name is, supposed to be in there too. I think it's going to come down to, if Sullivan's in there, it's going to be Sullivan and Strowman going at it and eliminating each other at the same time, because one, they trained, they came up together, so they know each other. Of course, at this point, with all the surprises you find out, I don't think anybody truly knows Lars Sullivan. But I can honestly say it's going to take a behemoth to eliminate a behemoth, and then you already have your what do we do with Strowman at WrestleMania. So let's have these guys go at it for the next 60 days, find some kind of slot matches, maybe put Strowman in the Elimination Chamber because he's a household name, but have Sullivan interfere in the Elimination Chamber, so that way that takes care of the Strowman factor in that. It could be Kane style, although I don't want to see anybody else come up from the pits of hell, which is under the ring next to the kendo stick. I rather see his own way of doing it. I don't want to see rip the door off either. That was done by Kane. I don't want to see anything that's a retread. Find your own way to do it. Even maybe jump him in the back so he can't make it. I don't care. But the point is, if that's going to create the build, then we tie up 2 big men, so we already have our WrestleMania situation. We don't have to have Braun Strowman as a babyface facing somebody the size of Sami Zayn and it not making sense. And at the same time, if you don't know what to do with Sullivan, have someone who can throw him around, because if he acts stupid again, at least you have someone big enough who can just kind of beat him senseless if you need to. So the sidebars are definitely going to happen. We're obviously going to see Keith Lee and Sheamus. If Sheamus wins, I think it'll come down to he and Keith Lee. Of course, there's going to be a couple of NXT surprises in there. And here's something I've thought about, because it's not going to be this year, and this is another reason that I'm writing Daniel Bryan. It could be Daniel Bryan again, because we both really thought that, and you still think that, and I know you're sticking to your guns, which I appreciate that, because I think it's great. Both he and AJ are going to retire at the ends of their current contracts. Something tells me that eerily it's going to be like a Goldberg versus Lesnar thing. Like I think they're going to retire each other in a final match. And I don't think it'll be this Mania. I think it'll be next Mania. And if so, I think that AJ's going to take the governor off him because it'll be his last match. People say he's lost a step. It's just that he doesn't do some of the same moves he used to because he's not made of Teflon anymore. Now I see him facing a Daniel Bryan who knows he's going to retire, so he's going to pull out all the stops. I see those guys just not being told what to do and just putting on a 20-25 minute classic in their last bout. And I think that's how they're going to go out. So I don't think it's going to be this year. And that's the only other thing that I think could push Bryan above Sheamus in this. Aside from that, I really wish it was Keith Lee. But if you had to pick one person that you just didn't see it coming that might be in the top 10 pick, I might say Shinsuke Nakamura, because he's the only person who's had kind of a positive build. Obviously, it's not going to be Adam Pearce, but that's the only person. I don't think they'd do it just because it'd be a second Rumble win. That would be like the only person I could conceivably. It's not going to be Otis. I don't see any more goofball, let's give him a push for no good reason thing. The only person I see in that top 10 tier that might surprise me would be Shinsuke again. And that's what I got on the Rumble.
Wow. No, that is you guys talk about a thorough review. We got thorough reviews right here. I mean that in a good way. So, or Cesaro. I mean, like the other thing is Cesaro, he had a couple of good weeks and, he's been on commentary kind of awkwardly the last couple of weeks. He's probably in my top 15 of Cesaro winning. I think the fans will get behind it, but I don't think Vince is behind it. So, this has been great. I mean, you have really given me too much to think about in terms of angles and sub-angles and, and little things that happen in the Rumble that are stories within stories within stories, but that's what the Rumble's about. That's why you could talk about the Rumble for hours and hours and hours, because there's so much going on, so many storylines interwoven, the 5 possibilities that could come true. I really don't feel super confident about Daniel Bryan. I mean, I know I picked him. I know he's the odds-on favorite, but that also scares me he's the odds-on favorite because it seems too obvious and too easy. Very rarely does Vince go with the easy option. He usually takes kind of a backwards way to get there just to surprise fans at times. So I'm not super confident. I mean, Seth Rollins could certainly win it. Brock Lesnar is Brock Lesnar, and I don't think Brock would win it, but looking at this top 5 list of Vegas odds, you can make a case for every single one of them. This is a very, very, very difficult Rumble. I would stay the hell away from this to put money on it. I would not go anywhere near this. Out of all the matches on the card right now, this one scares me the most in terms of who could win it. Even the women's isn't great for me. And this was great. I'm glad there's not a complete obvious answer, that it has to be. Like, you'd look back and go, Roman Reigns has to win it. Roman Reigns, like in 2015, Roman Reigns got to win it, and he won it. Right? Like, so there's been times where it's very obvious who's going to win it, and this year is extremely difficult. So, any final thoughts or items you'd like to wrap up or shout out to anything like that?
Well, I do have a couple of shout-outs to throw out, but I also thought about one more quick thing as far as the Men's Rumble goes. Is there a chance, like the 3 faces of Foley, we see the 2 to potentially 3 faces of Wyatt? I'm
glad you brought that up too, because I said the same thing maybe last week. He starts out with the fun Bray Wyatt, then he goes to the Swamp Cult leader, and then he goes to the Fiend. Yeah, I thought about the same thing. Like, and you're right. Yeah.
So that was on my mind. Or is it Bray Wyatt, as like fun Bray Wyatt, because that's supposed to be the current version. We totally skip the cult leader, go into the Fiend, and then he comes back as his third new persona. Maybe. Which I still like the idea of the friend. I still think, I hope WWE creative is out there, because I'm lobbing you a grapefruit here. All you have to do is knock it out of the park. Okay, it's pretty easy. But I could see that, because there's been so many retreads with, the Mandible Claw, with the, Kevin Owens using the stunner, like so many things. And of course, The belief that people don't want change. Well, why don't they really think that we forget this, but we don't forget. But I could see that kind of happening. Aside from that, I would like to do some shout outs if I could real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. So as all of our listeners know, I'm currently on work assignment here in Memphis, Tennessee, which is my old stomping grounds. Been here for a long time. Last time I was on the show, I kind of mentioned the restaurant I was working at, which is the Kooky Canuck in Cordova, Tennessee. And I had two of our listeners come and visit me, and I just want to give them a shout out. That was Rob Poyer and Tayshawn Reed. They're friends. Both live out in the Germantown area. They're roommates, and apparently they really, really enjoy the show. And when they found out they could actually come meet me, they came, they had some lunch, and we talked wrestling for about a half hour, 45 minutes. It was really cool, and it was really awesome. And so I just wanted to let them know that I would recognize them on the show. And then just a few people from around the town and a couple of businesses. While I was gone, a few new businesses opened. 901 Comics, it's owned by a man named Shannon Merritt. It's a great comic shop if you're in the Memphis Cooper Young area. It's fantastic. I love my comic books. I've known Shannon for many years, and I'm glad. He also owns his own publishing label, and they have some of their own comics that they produce themselves, which is really cool. So you never know if somebody you know might become a character inside of a comic as just a kind of one-off, kind of tongue-in-cheek thing, which is really awesome. A couple gentlemen who are big wrestling fans, a man by the name of Randy Cresswell. He's a really nice guy, and he's really into all things that are kind of subculture, which I think is really awesome. You can have conversations with this guy all day like you and I when we sidebar. A gentleman by the name of Mark Tedford I've known for many years, I hadn't seen for a long time, who used to, when he was a teenager, sell hot dogs so he could make it to the Mid-South Coliseum, and there he would sell programs for the old Continental and old USWA and all the old Memphis territories and Mid-South territories, and he has a few that I might be acquiring from him. And he was the man who gave me the old phrase that pro wrestling was his favorite hillbilly soap opera, so it's something I love. And the last shout-out goes to a place called Grivet Outdoors. It's also in the Cooper Young area. When I was visiting the comic shop, I went there. I met the owner. It's a great outdoor store. It's not that big. They've got a great selection of shoes, all kinds of equipment there for anything that you want to do as far as hiking, kayaking, outdoors, you name it, they've got it. And what really impressed me is that he had a thorough stand of men's body care, such as like Everyman Jack, Cremo, stuff like that. I use a lot of that skincare product and beard balms and things of that nature. You can say whatever, but for 45, I look fantastic. So I thought it was really awesome that he had a lot of that, especially a lot of natural soaps, and just things of that nature. And like I said, his shoe collection is amazing. So if you're in the area, you're in the Memphis area, you go to Cooper Young, definitely check it out. And I just wanted to let those people know that I recognize them, and it's fantastic. And anytime you folks want to reach me at Twitter, it's at 144Captain. I respond to everything. I love getting new followers. I love following new people. I love talking wrestling. And I love ideas. If you have any questions or anything that for the next time I'm on a show you would like me to answer, feel free to send it to me. I'd love to go back and forth with Matt because he and I have some great conversations, and that's what I got.
Very good. I mean, I would say that you become somewhat of a celebrity now in Memphis. That's pretty cool. And Rob and Tayshawn, right? Those are the two names?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay,
yes.
Cool. That's pretty cool that you've had. I have not had that happen, although I haven't been really outside my house in about 10 months, 11 months. So, yeah. And, I don't know how many people actually know what I look like. I mean, some people do. My logo's pretty obvious, but, yeah. So, very good. And Michael, thank you as always. This has been a great conversation. We've got so much to talk about. Our listeners, I'm sure, have a lot to think about with their Royal Rumble picks, and I'm curious to see what you guys think. And email the show at realwwepodcast@gmail.com, of course. And Michael, we will be doing this again very soon, especially post Rumble. I'm sure there's going to be so much to discuss. Yes. I mean, we are now kicking it, guys. Like tomorrow night is the night that we've all been looking forward to as wrestling fans, because yes, it's Rumble and that's fun as hell, but it is now officially WrestleMania season. It's insane to say, given that I feel like I just watched the 2-night special from WrestleMania 36 at the Performance Center, now the Capital City Wrestling Center, of course, but it's crazy that it's almost been a full year. So guys, it is WrestleMania season, and I couldn't be more excited. And Michael, thank you so much for coming on the show and taking the time out of your evening, and we'll be in touch very, very soon.
Thank you very much. You have a wonderful evening, and as always, I'm humbled. Folks, stay safe and have fun.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
All right, good night.
Good night.